Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. Buzz, 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 buzz. It's Blake's Buzz Live. More, hate less, read comics. It's Blake's Buzz Live.
Buzz, buzz, babies.
How cool is that shit? Blake's Buzz has a theme song, and Blake's Buzz also has a massively studly talented badass guest list tonight. Look at all these wonderful people writing wonderful horror comics and then some that decided to make the fatal mistake of coming on my show. God be with all of you gentlemen. I'm going to go around and introduce everybody. Whoever, I'm just going to go in the clockwise order. There was no one paid me to go first or anything. I am your humble host, Blake Morgan. With me tonight, I've got Laurent. How you doing, sir? What's up?
Fantastic. Thank you for having me. I definitely didn't pay you $5 for that first spot.
He did not. He did. He maybe threw me a free digital comic of Sacrifice. No, you can double check. I'm on that backer list, baby. Next up, we got Ian. Ian, what's up, man? How you doing?
How's it going? I wasn't aware bribery was going to be an issue. If I had known that, I would have gotten my Venmo ready.
I gotta do the pre-show email like Kevin does for Explain Yourself. I gotta do like the donations are welcome, not mandatory, but will probably help your experience, while we're live on the air.
I like the idea that we could super chat you while we're on the stream with you, and then that allows us to talk about our book more. I feel like
right, yeah, like we pay by the minute here. That's how we do things.
That's funny.
But my rate is very cheap. Next up, we got Brenton. Brenton, how you doing this evening, sir?
I'm doing great, though my hand seems to be disappearing. I'm fading away.
It's that magical Snow White zombie apocalypse imagery. It's pulling you in. It's taking you away. It's the fairy tale none of us knew we ever wanted. When we read that craziness.
True that.
Yeah. I'm really excited about it.
Oh man, I'm stoked to talk about it because as with everybody on this panel tonight, I've loved all your comics and I read them and I'm ready to talk about them. And it's funny how tonight kind of happened because theming live streaming is tricky, but we're in a warm, spooky place tonight. The waters are warm and calm and dark, and we don't necessarily know what's swimming around in there. Something may nibble at our toes and drag us under, but I'm ready for it, baby. Let's do it. Next up, I don't know if anybody's heard of this guy, Brian. I heard wrote this comic at Scout called Black Cotton that a few people talked about, and then came in with the Lunatic, the Lover, and the Poet, which was really cool. And he just keeps. Do you just like living in stress? Because you have hopped from one intense Kickstarter to the next the last few months, I feel like, and everyone loves you, and it irritates me that they make you wait to the minute. Everybody loves Brian Hawkins, everybody loves these comics, wants to talk about them, but you put out a Kickstarter, they're we're gonna make you wait till the day before you get funded. We're gonna make you sweat a little bit.
Hey, it's you know what? I just appreciate the support and the comic book community, and however the chips fall, it's fine. It's fine. Enjoy the process and just be in the moment, right?
Is it like cigarettes? Does every elongated Kickstarter campaign take 7 minutes off your life? The more it goes on?
Probably.
Yeah, it can definitely be somewhat strenuous. Come on. But yeah.
That's great. I haven't read Black Cotton, but I work with Scout too, and
right,
so that was a title I really wanted to pick up. So hey, great to connect with you.
Absolutely.
I don't know how it happened. I think maybe just because Scout people are easy to book. You guys will just talk to anybody. But I do so many Scout interviews. I have Charlie Stickney should give me a job. He listens to this sometimes, but I'm just saying, I'm out here hustling for you, baby.
Hey, let's work on that.
And last but definitely not least, we've got Matthew Wilding, and Matthew's the duck sticking out in the realm of gooses tonight because he's on Zoop, which is a very cool platform that we are all trying to get people excited for. They seem like really great people. The creators I've talked to really enjoy working with them. Regardless of what you think about Kickstarter, I think most of us are still backing Kickstarter. No one's like, totally bailing on the platform. But regardless of what you think, it's kind of, in my opinion, a good thing to have other outlets for crowdfunding, just to experiment, to kind of like, widen the horizon of crowdfunding comics. Like, I don't think anyone's mad about other outlets to try and get your comics out. Matthew, he has a really cool horror anthology, which kudos to you. In like, I feel like it's got to be so hard to do horror anthologies right now because there's so many, like like all the time, and so it's like you gotta like hustle and sweat and do what you can to stand out. And from what I've read of your samples, you are standing out, good sir. Like, this was a very Small Bites is very cool. That's what we're here to talk about tonight. Also,
It is cool.
and he's got a new comic that was previously crowdfunded that Source Point Press picked up, which we're going to talk about, which was The Nightmare Man, which is just fucking gnarly. But also, congratulations, congratulations on getting that publisher snag. That's got to feel pretty good, right?
Yeah, no, it felt great. It's it's all kind of a work in process, right? Nightmare Man was first funded in October of 2020, I think, and it was shipped in January of 21. And Source Point had actually already picked it up at that point. But it just took it takes a long time for stuff to actually hit shelves sometimes. So excited to have it come out. And I actually am working on a follow-up for Nightmare Man with Jay Scheich right now.
Oh,
It's called Old Devils.
That dude is on everybody's comic.
He's on everything.
How
he's actually
is he
in Small
on
Bites.
Everything? He's like, does he sleep? I know
He's
he's
got
got
a
kids
kid,
because
dude.
he's been on my show. I saw the kids run across the screen. Like,
Vampire.
he's the Brian Hawkins of comic artists. So much.
He's definitely a vampire. That's definitely true. No, Hawkins knows the artist part is way harder than the writer part. We just splash words on pages. They're the guys that make it all look good and take all the time.
100% true.
Shout out to friends in the chat. We've got John Westhoff, who's another both publisher, letterer, and writer. He's just a multifaceted badass motherfucker. That guy. He's good.
Always a good person to know.
And then we got Ignacio, always popping in the chat. The artist that's just taking over indie comics right now, popping out cover gigs and prints and just killing it up on Killaroo. And I love that guy. He's a beautiful man with a foul mouth, and that's just the way to my heart right there. Those two things, it just gets me all warm inside and shit. Anyway, so tonight, gentlemen that don't know me, I have a foul mouth and I'm going to say stuff, and it might get, weird, and that's okay. I encourage you all to get weird, don't get us canceled, but we can walk that line. We walk it carefully and with pride, we can survive the night. So
we'll all
I
travel
guess,
to Pennsylvania where everyone is problematic.
Pennsylvania. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's good.
Someone needs to steal that title.
That guy should be a writer.
David, another scout guy, David Burns, got that canceled book coming out too.
Yeah. He did he did like a lot of the production work for the very first issue of Snow White Zombie.
Yeah, because it initially was a one shot that came out through Scout. Which we'll definitely be talking about that. As I mentioned, Blake's Buzz runs a little late, runs a little hot, gets a little steamy, and I know some of you guys have like families and shit. I don't know what that's about, but whatever. I just live in a garage and read comics. So it's like a little weird nerd cave I have, and
sounds like a great life to me.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Complaining about it, that sounds great.
Live vicariously through you.
Right. Yeah, we're literally just here to hear about what it's like to not have that responsibility.
Yeah, 10 to 7. I do the job where like I work for peanuts, but I actually work for omnibuses because that's my crack. I love buying like really expensive hardcovers and don't have time to read them, because I've now decided that releasing a weekly interview podcast is not enough. I have to now do a weekly podcast and a weekly stream, because I want that fucking YouTube money. I want to get rich, right? I want to have enough money where I can buy Bitcoin and not feel dumb about it. That's my goal right now.
I'll tell you, I am so annoyed because one of my colorists is Russian, and I'm actually going to have to pay her in Bitcoin. And just,
oh wow, yeah.
So like, oh, and by the way, apparently Putin has been telling everyone in Russia that he shut down PayPal.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Like, is that a good strategy to be like, oh, that thing you're mad about? I actually did. It wasn't that I did it.
Yeah, the key to winning any war is to not have money.
Yeah.
The less money you have, the more likely that you will win the war. Like, it's it's just, nothing, you just slaughter doesn't cost money.
It's just bold to be like, to be in a one of the largest nations on earth, and to be surrounded by the level of misery that he has personally caused, and then to be like, oh, hey, that misery I didn't cause, I caused that. Like, that was me.
That was mine too.
All things bad in life come from me.
Right.
And that's the same. I did that too.
I think
it was Putin all along.
I think the data shows that the hungrier your people are, the more their level of nationalism goes up. I think that's just what it is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's actually research that you tend to, the more stress you're under, the more authoritarian your thinking becomes.
It's like a nationalism ketosis, right? It's like you get so hungry that you just start rapidly supporting your country.
Awesome.
And you guys probably tell I'm a wider individual. I don't really know what it's like to be hungry. I'm usually taken care of in that regard. But
that's why there's no nationalism on this show. We're all just.
I see your tweets. You have some great food pick tweets. I love your.
Oh my God! Yeah, tell me about it.
Every time I look at it, I'm like, man, I'm hungry all this.
Everyone tells me, they're like, dude, I never knew that like comics, food, and dogs, like that's all your Twitter is, and I'm about it. Like it's everything I wanted, and I never knew that. And I'm like, oh,
you just took over dog Twitter this week. It was something.
True.
I mean,
true.
yeah, I was gonna segue into that later, but I guess we'll start there. Like, first off, 3, 2, 1, fucking thank you, everybody. I've never ever felt like that ever before. Like I've had sex with beautiful women. I've done some pretty good drugs. I've been to really good concerts. I've done some cool shit in my life, and I've never ever felt like that before. That was insane. I was so scared, man. I thought this dog that I found in the street, she's been with me for over 8 years, and I thought it was it, and we thought we were gonna have to say goodbye, and through the help of the community, we were able to pay for some more vet testing and some meds, and she's eating CBD gummies. So we just got her ripped and comfy, and it's like, man, it's good for you. Like you're just living the dream.
Living the life now.
Yeah, man. The community, so many people stepped up and shared that GoFundMe and donated, and just my coworker, let's get real quick, I guess. My coworker told me, she was like, hey, I know you get down sometimes and you have issues and stuff. And she was like, but next time you think no one loves you, you fucking go look at that GoFundMe campaign and remember that. And then I was just fucking pretty much anything anybody has said to me the last week, I just cry. I've been so oddly emotional, with this dog and then the campaign, the GoFundMe campaign, and all this stuff. And it's just I've just been a well of emotion that's has too much water in it, and I'm just leaking, and it's just been so intense. And so anyway, everybody, thank you. My dog April thanks you. Her wheelchair's coming this week. We're so excited to start training her in it and get her outside, because if not, she's already fat, and if we don't get her moving, she's gonna blow up, man. Those CBD treats have calories in them. They're gonna add up. But anyway, thank you, everybody. You touched my heart. You made me feel important. You made me feel like I was part of the community and that I belonged, and that was just weird. And I'm still trying to figure all that out. Anyway, mushy shit aside, we're here to talk comics, right? Not
Mhm.
this isn't called Blake's Feels, it's called Blake's Buzz, which still doesn't necessarily like cue you in on the comic book part, but I think most people that know me know we talk comic books here. And so to kick it off tonight, we're gonna talk Sacrifice. I'm gonna open up this little guy here. Look at the power of technology. We can pull up the Kickstarter page. Like, man, it's crazy. Like, man, we used to do this on Zoom. Fuck Zoom, baby. We're on StreamYard now. We're living the life. Okay, so Sacrifice. This is such a good fucking book, guys. Like, okay, so this is oh, I'm trying to scroll on the wrong screen. So this is from Laurent, and issue 1 and 2 are out. Issue 2, they had another successful campaign a few months ago. Look at this freaking art. It's insane. It's gorgeous. This is where
I'm loving the purple guy, the giant purple guy right there.
the demon designs. We'll have him talk about how it's created because it's a cool story. I've heard him talk about it on other interviews. But like, he basically scares his artist with his like crazy demon designs and his like creepy emails that he sends his artists. But he's like, there's so many different, and then I love our new demon John Wick character. I love that. So issue 1 was awesome, and issue 1 had a smaller cast, and now issue 2 has like expanded. We have all these new characters. They're all exciting, and I want to learn so much more about him. Again, and I say this a lot, like I always give credit to writers and with comics that have large casts because it's a juggling act. You got to give everybody the right amount of screen time, page time, panel time, however you want to call it. You got to make us care about them, and you have to make it not like burden the plot and the pacing, right? You can't spend too much time on introductions, and you have to introduce us like organically to these characters. And it's a big process for the writer. And I don't know that many people like pick up on stuff like that because they're not as smart as me, because I'm a fucking genius, right? But like, anyways, Laurent, dude, like issue 2 was so good. And we are about to be able to back issue 3 in a week and a half.
March 28th is the launch date. So
March 28th. Like, everybody mark that shit on your calendars. Set reminders. Put it in your Google Planner, because this is a comic that you want. Now, tell us why we want it.
Okay, I'll go with my pitch.
Put you on the spot.
Hellboy meets Evil Dead. The superpowered host of Lucifer has 2 goals. 1, to gather allies who can stop Lucifer from resurrecting and bringing hell to Earth. And 2, making enough money by fighting demons to keep the lights on. It's a horror comedy series, and like I said, these 2 issues out right now, and the 3rd issue will be available in about a week and a half.
Look at these covers, man. These fucking
excellent.
covers are so good.
Yeah.
Now, okay, and now this is cool, I think, because my top comic of 2021 was By the Horns, and he got Jason Muir to do a variant for his Kickstarter, which is this one right here. So like, you've already like, you know, you've put it on the table, right? Like you slammed your fist down. You're like, hey, what's up? I'm here and I'm here to party. Issue 3, like you got any like slick names ready to do cover art for you?
So I have 2. 1, Kath Lobo. I've seen a lot of her online. I've seen her do stuff for other Kickstarter campaigns. It's like, oh wow, I really like her art, so I was able to get her. The other is I feel like I'm gonna butcher his name. I've loved his art for like the longest time. I didn't think I'd be able to get him. His name on Leaves Online is like Hanzo like Zokin. I know I'm messing it up because I've just seen his art a million times. It's just the name I've never gotten. I was like, he's got a lot going on. Maybe he'll be able to do this. And I contacted him. He was a joy to work with. And he's got a black and white cover that I'm doing, that we have for issue 3, which I believe I shared that. I've had this stuff for so long. I was like, I'm trying to drip feed it out because I want to share it all at once, but then I spoil everything. But yeah, I'm gonna keep the trend of having 3 covers per release.
Okay, I respect that, because as a recovering variant addict, which I've coined that term, and that's my baby. You can use it. That's my baby. It's my drug baby. Yeah, I'm so tempted all the time to like get these variants, and like, especially with Kickstarter, it gets a little expensive, and like, especially when you like are trying to back everybody's fucking campaign, because there's just so much good stuff. I don't buy much from comic book shops anymore. Like my pull list is pathetic, and I do more kickstarts and hardcovers and fun stuff like that. That's the brand that I've kind of been excited to like funnel my money into. So like crowdfunding is just so cool, and there's so much cool stuff on there. Sacrifice is one of them. I'm going to go ahead and read the solicit. This is a deal I did last week and everybody got a kick out of it. So I'm just going to hop into that. I'm going to get into my theatrics here. May Lacey was a typical college student moving away from home for the first time. Her first week away from home was anything but normal, as she was thrust into a world of monsters and magic that is unknown to the common man. All this happening because she has connections to ancient and mysterious spell books. As all hope seems lost, she was saved by Damien Blackwell, a man with unreal amounts of demonic power that came from his soul being bound to Lucifer, despite his connection to the being that is the pinnacle of evil. Damien makes his living fighting monsters and keeping people safe from supernatural threats. How fucking cool does that sound? And that is Sacrifice, ladies and gentlemen, that you're going to be backing next week, or in 2 weeks when it releases on the 28th, right?
Get
28th?
Blake as your hype man is, I think,
Yeah,
we're all in.
Yeah.
I wrote that, and I was thinking about it. I was like, how did that even sound? I was like, oh no, was it good? Because I'm very critical of myself. And you read it, I was like, oh, I'm actually hyped. This is my book. I want to buy it now.
Yeah, and not in a bad way. That voice hype delivery sounded like when you watch a preview for like a B horror movie from like the past 10 years, like Velocipaster, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I always remember the monster truck commercials, like Sunday, big engines, big trucks, big dicks. We're slamming them down and we're gonna party.
Was that you? Was that?
I think monster truck rallies are different in the Midwest because we don't slam big dicks in ours here. It's great that you do. I never seen it.
I'm gonna have to hire you for some later because like that worked really well. And I was like, all right, I can, like when you mentioned about the Velocipaster thing, I have a lot of that where like I try and throw as much comedy as I can, but keep it like natural with it. Which one of my philosophies is like, is something dumb? Okay, can I make it dumber? Like I like really goofy stuff. Like big inspiration for me on this is like Evil Dead. Like I love that type of thing where like Evil Dead, Shaun of the Dead, Ghostbusters, where like there's very horrific things happening that for normal people they'd want nothing to do anything with it, but because of how the main characters act, it's just lighthearted and fun. I mean, there's a lot of action and some body horror stuff happens. I'm not gonna go into spoilers. The story goes places, especially in 3 when that comes out, But yeah, I'm probably I might pick you up for an ad later. I'm gonna run.
Nice.
I got this really expensive microphone now, so I can like sound all pretty and shit. Like, I have invested. I was talking to my dad tonight because my dad like is not into comic books, but he thinks this whole Blake's Buzz shit is cool, and I really blew the family's mind. Well, and my mind, like when we did the GoFundMe, like no one fucking thought that was gonna happen. My dad's a crier. Anyway, right? Like, dude, my dad was crying. Like, he was just like, I just can't believe people are helping. I don't even know these people. They're helping us. And I was like, I know, man, it's crazy. But yeah, my dad's kind of, he says the same thing. He's like, you're just kind of good at it. And I was like, wait, well, you think I'm good at something? Oh shit, that's crazy, man. Like, so, I don't know. But yeah, I'm a decent hype guy. If anybody that listens to my podcast, we always kick off the intro on the podcast. I get real amped up, and I always make the joke that's so we can like go down from there. Like, start high and then, peter off and sorry. But
that's how I write too. Yeah.
Yeah. Start strong. Dude, issue 1 was amazing, but like 3, I don't know.
What
I don't
about
believe that
Zoe?
for a second, though. By the way, because your fucking writing's really good. That's putting that out there.
You.
me, me. This
Yeah, I mean,
guy.
we'll
this
find
guy
out
over here.
We'll find out when I ever write a follow-up to something, right?
Hey, in my opinion, I think anthologies and short comic book work is really tricky because you already, as everybody knows on this panel and probably a lot of people listening, you don't get a lot of prose space. It's not like writing a short story. It's not like writing a novella, and you're limited with dialogue. You have to kind of restrict yourself in that means too, and so to do what most people do in 20 to 30 pages depending on who you're working with and what publisher and what what you're doing, and to do that in 6 pages, or I mean a couple of your pieces in small bits were as the title professes, small bits, just like a couple pages. You really you really hit those feels and you hit those marks in a short amount of time, and regardless of what you say, sir, you got to be a pretty talented writer to do that, in my humble opinion.
Well, thank you. So the whole reason I wrote Small Bites was because I started by trying to write a giant story like every dummy does. And I just happened to have the advantage that other folks didn't of having direct access to a professional comic book writer when I was trying to figure it out. So an old friend of mine who writes for DC was nice enough to bother to respond to text messages I had about the field, and he pretty much said, "Stop doing what you're doing right now, and instead focus on trying to write an 8-page story." And the 8-page story that I wrote was a story called Little Things, which is actually in the back of Nightmare Man. But that prompted me to continue to work on the medium from 4 to 8 pages. Because if you can tell a story in 4 to 8 pages, you can tell a story in 24 or 36 or 48 or however many pages. It's harder to cut down than it is to stretch out, in my opinion. I would also just mention that, I know a lot of newer writers come from this boat from the past 2 years. Gail Simone kind of ran a clinic.
Yeah, that was so cool. Just on Twitter board one night, just dropping the knowledge. So amazing.
Yeah, and I did it every day with her. And I, from what I understand, somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 other people. And I wrote a number of stories through comic school with Gail Simone in March of 2020, in the beginning of the pandemic. And actually, Advance Notice, which is in Small Bites, is one of those stories.
That's so sick. Cool. Yeah. So this is your first comic baby.
I love that. I love that story.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Blake, what was the question?
This is your first comic baby. This was like you going to Gail Simone's online impromptu comic school, and then you were like, I'm going to write some short stories. And then you're like, oh, wait, I'm just going to drop some fucking 3-page bangers, and I'm going to fucking stretch it. I'm going to write some more. Oh, wait, I'm going to find some really great artists. Oh, wait, then I'm going to fucking put it on Zoop and do 50% in like a couple days.
Not less than a couple of days. It has been 36 hours,
36 hours. Damn, man.
Yeah, it was great. So I do want to mention, though, I'll talk a little bit about the artists because they're all phenomenal. But the process of making this book was over the course of almost 2 years. And most of these stories were written as anthology stories that I got into, or pitches for anthologies that I ultimately didn't get into. And I just wanted to make the story anyway. But yeah, so Advance Notice was for an anthology that I got into that never came out. So I just had this story. Another story called Children of the Ark, which is kind of an apocalyptic sci-fi story. That was in another anthology that I got into, and I actually didn't even select that artist, Domenico, who is phenomenal. He did a great job with this story.
Children of the Ark is beautiful.
But I had no input on that art, actually. But he did such a great job that when the anthology didn't work, I just wanted to make sure it saw the light of day. And then some of the other stories in the book, like the story I did with Ray Lelecher, Lucky That Way, and then of course The Lapse with C. Hess. those were just collaborations with people who I met on Reddit, and I literally was like, I want to make these stories, or I'd like to make some stories with people who maybe are in the same position I am, where you're not really a professional yet, and we'll work together and see what we can do. And we talked about what kinds of stories we wanted to write, and we did it together. Same with Matthew Manji, who did the barbarian story that you just went by, which I actually can't remember the name of it because it's very long, but it's
Prelude to War of Our Proud Lands.
Right. But yeah, all these stories came in almost entirely because somebody asked me to do something, and then I was like, well, now I got to do something with this thing. So I put them all together.
When people ask me to do stuff, it doesn't end well. This happens. This thing, whatever this is going on right now.
Right.
No, so Lucky That Way hit me real hard because I like, like many people struggle with loneliness and the weirdness of being like 36 and single, and is this going to be like how it is forever? I don't know. But dude, that final panel, like I was not ready for the drop kick in the nuts that gave me. I was like, whew, like,
yeah,
goodness.
I have a really bad habit of writing real bummers. I'm not known for my feel good endings. Lucky That Way was actually, and all these stories have like a kernel of some, a kernel of I guess life or truth in them. But Lucky That Way I wrote because my grandfather was ill and is still ill. But when I was younger, I was on the porch at my mother's house on Thanksgiving with my sister and my grandfather. My sister died a couple months after that. Yeah, it's always I told you, man, I'm not a feel good story. But my grandfather was a little drunk. Thank you. Was a little drunk, I think, and he said something about how he kind of regretted not like being a drifter. And it was funny at the time, but in retrospect, as he was ill, I thought about like, we all, when people die, we kind of elevate the idea of like, oh, I had no regrets, this person had no regrets. And that seems like kind of a shitty expectation because particularly if you live to be pretty old, you probably regret a lot of things, and you probably wonder a lot of the time the things that you didn't do. And so Lucky That Way is a story about a guy in the late 19th and early 20th century who is on his deathbed and wonders whether or not he should have made different decisions. I actually wrote that story as a pitch for a Western anthology that I did not get into. But I liked the story so much that I just kind of felt like I had to make it. Luckily,
can I guess the name of the Western anthology and make everybody
let's not. And that anthology is going to be a banger. And the person who rejected it had very good and thoughtful notes, and I appreciate it. It didn't fit in what he wanted to do, but I wanted to tell the story anyway, so I did it. Which I think we all should, emphasize to every writer and every creator who wants to do something. I see it on Twitter every day, like, oh, I'm not getting anywhere, and I'm not feeling like I'm going to be able to make it in the industry. It's like, well, then fucking make your own industry. Just make your own shit.
Dude, if that ain't the fucking truth, man, like, and I know so many talented people that have also published on publishers that still go back to Kickstarter and do their own thing or whatever means of crowdfunding that you want to try. I got to bring it up because you're the only one. So we got to ask, like, how is working with Zoop? How are they, like, do they treat you well? Do you like it? Would you go back? Would you do it again?
I mean, the first time they flew me to the headquarters, it was, there was a delay. The champagne was flat.
Oh, man.
I gotta say, the runway was a little farther away from the main gate than I would have appreciated, but the hotels were nice and the dinner was fabulous. They're great. They're really nice. They've been really helpful. They're clearly still in startup mode, which I think everyone needs to just appreciate that's the reality. Is it like in the experience of both working with and buying through Zoop. It's not going to be as like instant as Kickstarter, because Kickstarter's been doing this for 10 or 15 years now, whereas Zoo's been doing it for 10 or 15 weeks. But they're really responsive. They're really supportive. They're really helpful. And yeah, I'm psyched to work with them.
Cool.
I think you might be muted.
Place muted.
It's cool. It's his show. No big deal.
I was making a drink. I didn't want like the ice clinking. Yeah, shout out to Jared Luan for watching my show, because that's just crazy that he's watching my show.
Jared rules.
Congratulations to Mr. Milestone. Like, that's so rad, man. You deserve it. You deserve it.
Enough.
Jared deserves shout out too, and I think this is not just true of me. I think at least one or two of the other people on the call know this too. Jared is so generous with his time, and gives really thoughtful notes, and is really helpful to folks who are just starting out. So just deserves everything he gets. Just one of the nicest guys in comics.
He really is.
So,
He's the best.
He's no Brian Hawkins, but he's a nice guy.
He's close. He's
Don't
close.
do that. No.
Oh no.
Far beyond Brian Hawkins. Far beyond that.
I love how everybody just is all about Brian Hawkins. Like, you're just good people though, man. You're good people, and you're fucking hustle. Like, you write for like other campaigns that like you're not even really involved in and advertise, right? I mean,
I tried to promote,
but there's too many. You're like, I can only promote like 30 a day, and I'm doing 35. Shit,
as
man.
much as I can. I try to promote as much as I can. But yeah, just I'm fortunate to just contribute where I can. I mean, that's how I feel. So
I'm just always shocked to see you on Kickstarter after Black Cotton, because I feel like I feel like that shit paved waves, man. Like,
I appreciate that, but like, so I think that it was a Facebook post by Pat Shan like a couple weeks ago where he talked about how and I think it was right after Sanderson did his like 41 million whatever.
Oh my god, when he broke the internet.
Where he kind of said like the reason why he does Kickstarter isn't because the books that he's putting out can't be published elsewhere. It's because of the direct correlation between creator and audience and readers. And for him, what he was saying was like Kickstarter is it's a platform that offers direct distribution. And so it's not a lesser than, it's an equal than. And so, I really approach like certain titles that I want to put out, like The Lunatic, The Lover, and the Poet, Don't Ever Blink with Richard Kemp, as like,
which is so good.
Yeah.
Oh my god, such a good comic.
I appreciate that, and shout out to the whole team. Like, what we did with that, we wanted it to be something that was direct, and I approach Kickstarter as like, there are certain things that I want to self-publish. There's certain things that the team and the creative team want to self-publish and do it that way as opposed to doing it traditionally. So it's not an either or. It's just it's which avenue is best for what your team wants to do with that story.
Now, like we mentioned earlier, like your last couple Kickstarters, which irritates the shit out of me, because the Lunatic Lover and Poet was amazing, and I feel like you're the amount that I got to know you through your Kickstarter updates was really cool, and I think a lot of Kickstarter creatives need to look at your Kickstarter updates and how you interact with people, because that was really cool. You put a lot of heart into those updates, and I love, and Scream was coming out right around that time, and you were like so excited about it, and then to finally read it and be like, and see like the respect that you paid to Scream and how that influenced some of your storytelling in Lunatic Lover and Poet, and just like the funness of it, right? The
Right.
the mystery, the violence, and the terror of it all, like how you blended that up, in your own smoothie and made it your own flavor, right?
Well said.
What's that flavor? Rick?
Oh, it's a little bloody. It's a little
Yeah,
salty.
it's like copper and salt.
There you go.
it's like in Wayne's World, like if you were an ice cream flavor, you'd be pralines and dick, but not dick, not just copper and salt. But it was so cool to see, like, I don't know, like I back so many Kickstarter campaigns, and a lot of the updates I skim, right? And I'll be like, okay, see what's going on. But your updates were like very interactive and exciting and just like, much like your newsletter. You're so excited about storytelling and it's almost like you're a guest lecturer at a university, right? Like giving little snippets on storytelling mechanics and teaching your audience, and it's just so cool. And you brought that to your Kickstarter campaigns, and I think that's really cool. And that, I mean, I very much loved issue 1 of Lunatic Lover and Poet, right? But
Thank you
the
so much.
Kickstarter updates were like the chef's kiss, right? And then issue 2, you were like, you fucking brought out the fucking Volk variant, and I like couldn't say no to that, even if I wanted to. And I always forget that you edit Nottingham.
Yes.
Like, that's so fucking metal. Like, dude, people fought over that comic book. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, there were lawsuits, like windows broken, people were smacked in LCS parking lots to try scrambling for these issues, man. And I always forget that you're the editor on that. And so, like, kudos to keeping that train running, because that's a fucking hell of a train, dude.
I appreciate everything that you said, and that, just to piggyback on the Nottingham thing, like it's just amazing to be in the quote unquote room with, like, the hive mind of Mad Cave and the creatives that are part of Mad Cave, and then to work intimately with Shane and David and Luca and Justin. I mean, like, the creative team behind Nottingham, I'm just fortunate to be attached onto them to even edit their work. It's fabulous. I've learned a lot from them, and to just contribute to that team is amazing. And they just put out phenomenal work. And volume 2 is I mean,
Lit.
It's fucking.
I've read it, and
I have to curse with this. It's fucking incredible. That's what it is.
You are allowed to curse. No one's gonna put you in time. Go sit in the corner, Brian. Think about what you fucking said. Shit ass. Damn it.
Yeah.
David, I've interviewed David twice for this show. One of them's about to come out. We did an interview. I love and hate interviewing David Hazan, because the 2 times I've interviewed him, we talk for like 3.5 hours. Like we both start talking. We're like, all right, we got to wrap this up. And then we talk for another hour, and then we're like, all right, we got shit to do. And then we talk for another hour, and it's all great and wonderful till you like you can't put out, like, I've released some long episodes. My podcast is notorious for long episodes, but you can't put out a 3-hour podcast interview. Like, no one's gonna listen. Like, it's
you gotta break it in parts.
Isn't that literally the model of the most popular podcast in the country?
Is it?
Like, isn't that Rogan's whole thing? Is talking for way too long? I've never actually heard it. That's what I've been told.
I mean, I've gotten some NFL quarterbacks to do what I told them, and I bought the same microphone that they use. So I'm trying to get there, but I just don't know if people will listen to me over 2 hours. I feel like 2 hours is about enough Blake Morgan as you can get, even if you have like a solid guess, and they're like, hey, man, 2 hours, I'm about done. Like, this guy says fucking like every 2 seconds. I don't know how much I can listen to that. But not like, so from a comic book making perspective, as someone, like I mentioned, your newsletter, your Kickstarter updates, you're very you're very excited to talk storytelling and the mechanics and how a thing is made, right? How a plot becomes a story, becomes passion, becomes something you want to read, and you are very good at that. And so you write, you create, you edit. What's what's your favorite? Like, do you like? I mean, is editing kind of like? Do you like laying down the law, or would you rather? Are you more comfortable when you just get to be like, I'm running my own Kickstarter, I'm doing my own show, and everybody can leave me alone. We'll make the trains run on time.
I honestly believe, and this is probably the safe answer, but it's the true answer. I think everything feeds into each other, and like I like creating, I like writing, I like story, I love storytelling, and my love for storytelling extends not just to me writing the stories, but I like to be the reader. I like to be in the audience, and I think with the editing, that's me being the reader and being the audience, but now I get to examine, and so it all kind of like is this swirl, this cipher of just being immersed in this storytelling world, and one feeds off the other and plays into each other, and I learn more about the craft by editing, and I learn more about the craft of editing by writing, and so it all kind of just melds together.
That's awesome. And you also have really here. I'll show it off real quick. Let's see. All right, so this art in issue 2, I love this. First of all, I love this palette, like this neon, this like 80s, 80s sci-fi neon stuff you got going on these pages is gorgeous.
Appreciate that's
the first
Marcio and Gabriel right there. That's all done.
Man. I'm so excited to get this. What I guess while I got you here, like what time frame? Like where are we at? Like when do I
time frame? We are about 2 weeks out. My last update, I think I did it. My last update was Tuesday. I guess it was yesterday. And Francisco is lettering as he receives the pages from Gabriel. And so with post-production and just putting the book together, the look and the feel of it, that I'm gonna do it. My partner in crime, Jerry Nelson, like he works at my right hand with just kind of organizing like the Gnosis self-publishing stuff. We probably need about 2 weeks to just put the book together, and then we'll send it off, and hopefully within 2 weeks, behind that, get the print books back. But the minute that we have the actual form of the book, the structure, the dressing of it, for the digital copies, which should be in about 2 weeks, we'll send those out, and then we just have to wait for print.
Okay. What is going on with Believe in the Name?
Believe in the Name.
Is that I was gonna ask you because I wasn't sure. Is that gonna be like a B story to some Kickstarter?
You know what? Believe in the Name. I am really trying. Like I have this outline and I have this plan for Believe in the Name, and I'm really trying to just figure out what's the best vehicle for it, because right now it is a B story. It is a backup story. But like the outline, I honestly, I'm just going back and forth to like, should I just make this a full series or should make this a continuous B story that will be with the Lunatic Love and the Poor in possibly other series. So I've even thought about it in the sense of like just trying to wrap it up in a 32-page one shot, which I even shot out in an update. But the outline is just too fleshed out for me to do that. So there will be more Believe in the Name. It just depends on like what's the right vehicle for it.
Yeah, because anybody who backed Lunatic Lover and Poet, for when you get the first issue, it's got some pages, it's got some heft, right? Mm-hmm. But when you finish Act 1, you're like, well, wait a second, there's a whole bunch of pages left here. And then you turn the next page and we got like some script excerpts and some making of stuff, which was very cool. And I dug.
Cool.
And then you keep turning the pages. I thought we were going to get more of that. And then we get this new fucking bonus comic that's just out there off. And I was like, whoa, what is this? Like,
Right.
so I got really excited for that. And then
Cool.
again, to go back to just how you're like approaching Cullen Bunn territory. Like, I don't think that you sleep. You're like a robot. You just keep putting out all these comics. So you got this coming that just released, Wilder from Black Box, and again, I'll just go into solicit mode here. Set in a futuristic San Francisco, Dr. D.H. Wilder leads Wilder Investigations LLC, an anti-poaching and animal rights management firm dedicated to protecting and saving the depleting population of species throughout the world from would-be human predators. So would-be human. Right, that sends a little tingle right down my nerd spine, because I feel like we're not just talking poachers here. We're talking something weird and non-normative and probably a little creepy. And from what I know about Black Box, like Black Box kind of embraces that non-normative and weird and creepy. That's kind of like their niche, that they've stumbled into. And so that just came out last week, 2 weeks ago.
It came out
recently.
Yeah. Last Wednesday.
Second. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is new, and you're taking pre-orders for it for the following issues. I think it's gonna be like a 4 or 5 issue, 6.
Yeah, it's a 5-issue series.
All right.
Yeah.
So what's before we move on, tell us what's going on here? Why should we put this on our pull list?
So Dr. Wilder is a very unique story, and this story, it was brought to me by the publisher from Black Box, Demetrius, and so originally there was another writer that was writing the story, and she got up, Rebecca Childs, and she got up to issue 3, and then she didn't finish it, and originally at that point it was called Poachers, and I read through what she had, and I'm like, oh man, this story is very interesting. I like the that it's about basically animal rights. So he offered me the job to write it, and so I went back through what she wrote, and I kind of reorganized the story, restructured it, and then I began to rescript her original issues, which were 1 through 3. And so there was restructuring, rewriting, rescripting, and then I finished it off with 4 through 5. And what we ended up with was a near futuristic story that really is it's like it's a mix of Scandal, Olivia Pope, and some type of like Fringe.
Ooh.
Oh wow. Okay.
Setting. And so, where it's not too far off in the future to where it's like crazy, but it's enough to where like, oh, I can see how that could be. And so you have this organization, this business that focuses on animal rights, because in this near future, there is a depletion, almost extinction of most animals. And so the animals that exist are either clones or originals, and to get your hands on originals is worth a lot of money. And so so poaching in the big game has become big business, even more so than it is now, which is kind of like the undercurrent of economy here. Like, there's still big game and big business in that now, but it's like to the forefront in this story. And so this Wilder investigation group led by Dr. Deja Wilder, they're a crisis management team that deals with animal poaching and animal rights. And so their main objective is to stop this big game proliferation of of what's going on in this near future. So it's a lot of action. There's a lot of scandal. There's a lot of intrigue. And there's this badass black woman who is like leading the way of like getting this done, Dr. Deja Wilder. And did I mention there's lasers? And there's lasers. Right?
There's lasers.
Lasers. So
I'm sold.
there
You
go.
had me at laser.
All I heard was like, I'm Brian Hawkins and I'm such a good writer. Other people send me their comic books to write because they need me to write
No.
them for them. No, but
Not at all.
But it's getting received very well. Like I've been seeing people post about it. They're digging it. They're really excited
Yes.
about the first issue. So that's
Yes.
very cool.
It is cool.
And then you just did you just wrapped up the Kickstarter for Second Sight. The
Yes.
1776. I forgot the first part of it though, because I'm an awesome host.
Leave on the light.
Leave on the light.
Yeah.
Thanks. See, that's why I have you guys here to remind me about the shit we're talking about. So yeah, like that was cool, man. I'm just super stoked for you. I just remember reading Black Cotton and having my mind blown, and you know, and I know it's very interesting the same way like with the other Scout book, the Recount. Where it just came out at an oddly clusterfuck period of our nation's fucking history, right? And the same thing happened with you. Like I know, like you had this stuff written, but comics take a while to make, right? So like this stuff was written before, but then it came out in the Black Lives Matter, you know, at the heat of the Black Lives Matter movement, and the I can't breathe stuff, and it's just like all of this, like, and this comic, like. I guess just to like really just fucking like put you on the spot, like how did that feel? Like having that kind of leading narrative and that kind of leading moment and being responsible to open eyes like that. Like was it too much? Was it too or was it good? Like
it wasn't too much. Patrick and I, you know, we had this conversation a lot while writing the book. And it's like, you know, you are responsible for telling the stories that you're meant to tell. And, you know, we have to be good stewards of those stories. And this was just a story that he and I were meant to tell. And as the universe aligned it, it was supposed to come out, you know, in that time period, which, you know, kind of paralleled our own reality. So it wasn't too much. But, you know, you as a writer in, you know, your own implicit bias, and trying to make sure that, you know, the story read true and felt true and was what it was supposed to be. You know, you take the burden of, you know, not wanting your own voice to be in it, but the voice of the characters and the voice of the story itself. So that burden was definitely on us, to where, you know, we didn't want it to be us on a soapbox, you know, writing a story. We wanted the story to speak from a place where it offered discovery and allowed for different perceptions to be developed. So that burden was there, but I mean, it's you can only tell the stories that you're meant to tell.
yes.
So
You were definitely meant to tell that, man, and you're going to do more of it, right? Like I know
There's
the
a
trade's
volume
out,
2.
but there's I heard rumors that there was going to be a volume 2 or
there is a volume 2. We are halfway finished with the art, and we're going to get that over to. We're going to get the finished volume 2. Well, volume 2 is a little hefty because we're approaching volume 2 as volume 2 book 1, volume 2 book 2, volume 2 book 3. It's a 12 issue art.
Oh wow.
It's called Black Cotton, White on White Crime and the Plight of Gentrification. So it's a hefty story. And so we're going to segment it into 3 books, and we're going to get that first book 1, volume 2 to Scout by June. So
Very cool.
and it's in color. It's in color.
What?
Oh,
No.
It's in color only because this particular story, White on White Crime and the Plight gentrification, it had to be told in color the way that Volume 1 had to be told in black and white. So it was a artistic decision.
Dude, that's so fucking sick. Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, listening to you talk to storytelling makes me get all. I got like the Peter tingles going on here, right? Like that fucking Spider-Man shit going on. No, like you are such a cool dude. You're such a great writer, and I love your love for comics. Now I apologize. Like we got to move on. I got to share the wealth. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do another solicit read. There's only two of you left that we haven't talked about, right? So we'll take it. We'll
I don't want to cut you off, and I just want to say I need to actually head off myself because I wake up for work in like 6 hours.
Oh
so,
man, aren't day jobs shit when you're trying to live that nerd life? It's just not fair.
Wake up and crack of dawn, and it's fun stuff.
Hey,
but
man, it was good.
Thanks for having me on. Wish I could have been here for the full time, but unfortunately, I have somewhere to be in the morning.
You can watch it. You can watch it later on Blake's Buzz's YouTube channel. I need those.
Oh,
I need those clicks, baby. Watch it 3 times.
3 minimum.
Look,
Right.
dude, thank you so much, man. It was awesome to talk to you finally, person to person. Well, like we've talked before, but like in like a different forum, I guess. But I'm so excited for Sacrifice. I'll be there for issue 3, baby.
It'll be there in a week and some change. I'm starting to. I need to sleep. I'll talk to y'all later.
Have a good night.
All right, take care. Great meeting you.
All right, so I'm gonna read the solicit. We'll try and figure out who it is. We got one that's kind of based on the Rapture and one that's based on fairy tales. We'll see if we can figure out. This isn't a real contest, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. This is me I'm just trying to build tension, right? Because that's what we want in the narrative arcs is high tension and a means to turn the pages. Anyways. Let's see if we can figure this out. Snow White awakens. God damn. All right, no, sorry. I think we already know what's going on.
I know which one it is.
Snow White awakens to true love's kiss 28 days after the zombie apocalypse. With the 7 dwarfs dead, the quintessential fairy tale princess must join forces with her polyamorous Prince Charming and his tough-as-nails paramour Rapunzel to wage a losing battle against death itself. Bound by love and driven apart by jealousy, can this unlikely trio find a way to put aside their differences, or will they be devoured by the reanimated denizens of their once enchanted kingdom? Based on the hit play by the same name, Snow White Zombie Apocalypse is a story of deep woods and old magic mixed with a healthy dollop of blood, sex, kung fu, and gender politics. Those are the dollops I like, ladies and gentlemen. Brenton, your fucking book is so good, dude. It's so good.
Thanks. You know, I put a lot into it, and I've been very lucky to work with some amazing artists. Hyando Park for the first issue, and then Luana Vecchio. And I've got another artist I'm about to move to my third. The plan was to, like, one, I just liked it when they did this in Sandman, so I'm kind of cribbing from that. But you know, when you hear fairy tales, you hear like multiple retellings of them from different places and times and even countries. So I sort of got to thinking, like, you know, it would be really cool if every time like a big story beat changed, the artist changed too. And so yeah, it's gotten me some really great people to work with, and I can't wait to introduce you to the next artist that I've got. I can't tell you who it is yet, but we finished Swaza 6 and 7, and the artist that I'm working with is doing it based on Berserk.
Ooh.
Oh wow!
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'm really stoked.
No
about
heavy
that.
Footsteps to follow there. Just like
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
but yeah, it's interesting too that I kind of that I chose the archetype of the zombie for this story, because this is literally like the story that will not die. Like it just keeps getting back up and going further. The first thing that I did was like, it was a 10-minute play I wrote for a 24-hour play competition in New York. Like lightning just struck in the right place. Slightly after that, it got picked up by the Estrogenius Festival, a celebration of women's voices, because
Nice.
someone saw me from behind and thought I was a chick. And then that was the 10-minute version, which is what you read when you read the very first issue, the double one, issue 1, the one shot. And then I'd been doing some work with the New York International Fringe Festival as a playwright in residence for State of Play Productions.
Oh, nice.
And I was just like, I'd already had kind of a minor hit in the Fringe, and I was like, I've always really wanted to write a fantasy story, but because it's me, I can't just write like a normal fantasy story. It's got to be weird. So I expanded that into Snow White Zombie: Apocalypse, and then when I got the chance to make it as a comic, I deleted the colon, so it becomes Snow White Zombie Apocalypse. And who knows where it's going to go from here. I'm looking forward. We're about halfway done the events of the original play. The next 2 issues are going to be very different. I'm pulling from this counts as fairy tales in my head. So I'm pulling from the saga of Hrolf Kraki from like freaking Viking mythology. And
Nice.
it's going to involve a Draugr by the name of Skuld Half-Elven, who I did not come up with that. Like, that's straight out of the actual story. So, yeah, I'm really excited where there's new stuff happening in the series. There's a lot of cool stuff coming out. We've been doing, like, tarot cards, and I made all these, like, coins from Prince Charming's kingdom. The neat thing about this, by the way, is because I just overdo everything. It's not just a coin with the blood-covered king's face on it. Like, an angry peasant got a hold of it and chiseled out half of his face, so it's got a skull.
Nice.
Yeah, so there's a million like things in there, and then I'm a black belt in Kyokushin karate, so martial arts was really important to me, and that was a big part of like the original play. Fun fact, actually. I don't know. I assume everybody here saw the Luke Cage TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there is a point in Luke Cage, I think it's like halfway through the first season, there is an area directly behind him. That park that Luke is in was out like right next to my apartment in Harlem. And the band shell that you see in the background was where me and my roommate at the time like rehearsed the fights that we were going to do for the Fringe Festival. So it was a really cool bit of synchronicity.
Cool.
It keeps going, and I've been lucky enough to have had a bunch of great people to work with. So I'm just hoping to keep this riding and to get out the full story at least.
You really should.
awesome.
Like that, the one shot from Scout was great, and so on your last Kickstarter, I got all the singles. I ponied up to get the back issues and stuff, and so I got like the original Scout one shot signed by you, and that was so good. And I read that and I was just like, what the fuck? Like, it's so and all your pull quotes, like everybody says the same thing. Wherever it's like David Pepose and Ron Mars, everybody's like, this is the idea we wish we had, and it's like, fuck yeah, I wish we had. And it's just like, it's so smart, and just so zombies are fucking everywhere. Why wouldn't they be in the in the fairy tale land? The only thing I'm like, what I want to make like a fucking Winnie the Pooh zombies invade the Hundemaker Woods, right? Like that's what I would like let's kickstart that. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. But I love your comic. It is so good, and it's like it was so impressive, and to read that and have it like get me excited, and then to just like hit you up and be like, you want to come talk about it on my show, and then you got excited about it too, and I was like what, this guy's excited to talk, like what the hell's happening? But no, it was so great, and the following issues are all great. The art is beautiful, but that's so interesting that you mentioned that you're a black belt, because the fight scenes are done so incredibly well. They look so wonderful on the page. Everything's like real fluid, and like the kind of like the Dragon Ball Z-esque like super punches and kicks, and people like fly across the panel, and like everything just looks so wonderful. But where the fuck did you like in your writer mind when you're plotting this out and you're thinking about it and you're like, ooh, I got a good idea. I'm like, Rapunzel is like the extra badass, awesome, like femme fairy tale fatale, like fucking slaughter monster. Like, how did that happen? And it works. Like, it's too good. Like, how did you come up with that?
I mean, honestly, so Snow White Zombie, I was new in New York. I just moved there. I thought I was going to get into Juilliard. I did not. Friend, I forget exactly where the idea came from. Like a friend of a friend told me that I needed to submit to this 24-hour play contest. I had never had anything I'd written produced in any way. We'd done some readings, but that was about it. So, I got in there and they had like the fairy tale smackdown was their thing. And so we had like themes that we had to work in and stuff we could choose from. So for instance, an apple was one of the things you could work into the play. I think like the Rapunzel thing came from the fact that oftentimes I will work from an image. Like I have a movie and play called Berserker that is set in Iceland in the year 997. And like that came from the fact that like I had gotten this really good idea for a story by being mad at another story. Like I came down and I was watching this movie. And I watched the first act. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be incredible. I know exactly where they're going with this. And then they didn't. And so like at the time I finished the movie. I got all mad. I walked down to my roommate and complained about it. And he's like, aren't you a writer? And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I am. He's like, well, then you do that. So I mean, the point that like that Berserker started from a very specific image in my head of like Vikings standing around an upturned table, and having like a very like tense court-like meeting. Similarly, like with Snow White Zombie, I think there were two things that came from. One, I had the really strong image in my head of Prince Charming and of Rapunzel with her primary characteristic, her hair removed. And that really just struck me as like something that I could really work from and dig into on a character level. And then the other thing was that like, I had the prompt and I had for a while had an idea that I wanted to write both a zombie play and I wanted to write a kung fu play because I saw the Shaolin Warriors come to my theater department. I'm a trained actor to begin with. And so like, nice. I kind of said to anyone who would listen to me, oh my God, we need to do a kung fu play. That'll be so much fun and people are really good. And everybody was like, no, shut up, nerd. And yeah, so I mean, like, I guess all of that stew of weird shit, like kind of vortex together. And what I wound up, I guess, just sort of striking gold with it was, I think the kiss between Snow White and Prince Charming, and the image of Rapunzel with the cut up hair and the axe really, really spoke to me. And then like I just moved to New York, and if you've gone from I lived in Kentucky, gone to Manhattan for the first time, like it can be daunting to see that many people and how different and how much more difficult it is to live. It's not unlike, waking up in a world filled with your former friends who want to devour you and your uniqueness and add you to their mass. So there was that. And then also like the final thing was just, I really, for the longest time, I thought I was going to write a zombie Shakespeare play. And that, I almost wrote that, but then I realized, I can't write iambic pentameter. So I went straight for the zombie stuff.
That's a challenge.
Yeah. Fun fact also with the, so I've actually done like a 15-man kumite. That's how I got my black belt. I had to fight 15 opponents in a row, no rest, full contact. I fell over and puked when I was done. But like a lot of my process in writing the actual combat is I will actually choreograph the entire fight in my head, move for move, and then I drive my artists crazy with it. Like, if you ever watch like a Kyokushin tournament, and this is like when they do knockdown, which is like two black belts square off, no pads, wail on each other's, midsection and legs until somebody falls, and they do it one after another after another. Like, there's a really awesome kick in that called what we called it in our dojo. I don't know what the Japanese name for it was, but we just called it the Rolling Thunder. And it's where basically the black belt does a front flip, and an axe kick comes down on the person's head, so it looks like the person is dove down, but then the leg comes back up and smacks them. It's really good for tricking people. And now at tournaments, people know to watch out for it. But for a while, it was that anybody that could do that would dominate. So like I'm sitting there like with Luana, and she's Italian, and there's a bit of a translation issue. She speaks English very well, but and I'm like, okay, so you need to do this kick. And she gave me like a spinning roundhouse. And I'm like, no, you gotta do this kick. And so like the longer that went on, I think just like it drove my artist crazy, but also I feel like it really added a lot of depth to the action in the comic. And that's just something I love.
That's cool.
I mean, hey man, however it happened, like I said, the fight scenes were mad gorgeous and looked so great. And also anybody who's listening who wants to make a comic, now just master black belt, be a playwright, and an actor.
Yeah. Beat your head against the wall in New York for 10
These three
years.
things will get you into comic books. When everyone says like, if you want to make a comic, no, you tell them to go fuck themselves, and you say, first I have to master black belt, then I have to become a thespian, then I have to be a good playwright, and then why our powers combined, like, and we make the Captain Planet.
I love that. Yeah.
But no, dude, that's your background is insanely interesting, and I think. I mean, obviously, none of you guys are boring. You've all been like really fun to talk to, and I think that adds into like.
No, we get it. You ranked us. I got it. So we'll let you. There'll be a chart issued at the end.
Hey,
of the episode.
I'm still on the bottom. I'm just the host. Like at least there's someone like you're not at the bottom of the list. But also you made murder squirrels, so like you're never going to be at the bottom of any list. You're
first I pay the $5 to be introduced first, and do not get introduced first. Second, I get put at the almost bottom of the list over only the host when another member of this audience of this group left the call. I just don't.
No one ever wants to come back to Blake's Buzz once they've been on one time, except David Hazan. David Hazan is and Steve Urena. Those are the only two people that have like
Steve
given me.
Urena is so great. Oh, so good. Man, I don't mean to talk about other people's comics, but my God, Slowpokes is so weird and it's so fun. Like just the slowest mammals possible, and he was like, "Yeah, we'll make them the murderers of children.
We'll make them
That'd
real
be
fast too."
It's so good. I don't know if you guys have read that. I think some of you have. But man, it's weird and funny, and I love it.
It's so funny, and the art is great too. And what's funny is earlier I made a joke on Twitter, and I was like, hey, like you and Steve should like get together and do like a murder animal like anthology. and then I see later that like Steve has a pull quote on Small Bits, and I was like, God, I need to do my research better. Like,
yes, it's funny, between the people on this call and the people that have been mentioned, we've covered most of the first like 6 people I talked to in comics. So like Ian, actually, I don't even know if Ian knows this, but the reason I know who Ian is because a friend of mine used to work with a friend of his as an assistant attorney general in the state of Massachusetts.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so I picked up Black Horse like when I was starting out. Then Brian just kind of cold called me one day because we were doing stuff at the same time, and he was just nice enough to give me a little bit of guidance. And then Steve, same thing, just kind of contacted me really early on. So those are all the nice people in comics. That's it. That's all of them. That's the whole thing.
No one else.
Sorry,
and,
Brenton.
and then I have you guys on and do interviews with you and make you all rich. That's why I just sit here. I just
I'm
sit
gonna
here
get
and look
rich?
pretty and get out the
Yeah.
good. Oh, dude, you're gonna get so.
Come
All
on,
of you,
yes.
all of you are gonna get
Hercules,
so
Hercules.
dirty, filthy rich. You're just gonna like hate yourselves. You're gonna have. So
I
much
did get
money.
one pledge during this call, so that's something.
Hey.
I did it. I did it.
It's
Yeah,
funny. Like I found that doing theater in New York for 10 years, and then switching to comics, it's given me some interesting insights. But the one big ones is it's much easier to get someone to buy a comic than to come to your play.
Oh, wow.
Really?
That's
Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but
especially in New
but-
York, because they
Oh,
gotta take this.
because you're like oversaturated. Like, because I'm thinking in the Midwest, and that's like people still get excited. But I guess like in New York, like people are like, okay, I can't. I went to like 5 plays yesterday. Leave me alone, Brenton.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's interesting what you brought up with the background thing, because okay, so in college, Mo Rocca of The Daily Show came and did like he wrote this book called like All the President's Pets,
Yeah.
about how the pets actually ran things. So at that thing, he was taking questions from the audience, and I stood up and I said, "Hey, how do I get on The Daily Show?" And he got kind of thrown by the question. Actually, he was just like, "I don't know, become Jon Stewart's bitch." And so like afterwards, I met him to get the book signed, and I was like, "Hey, I'm the guy that asked that stupid question about how to get on The Daily Show." And what he said to me was he kind of sighed and looked at me and says, "Look, the reason I got on The Daily Show was that I got it into my head that I would drive around the entire country going to the graves of unremembered U.S. presidents, only the most obscure ones that nobody knows, and take a picture of myself there. And I can't get into it now. It's a really long story, but because I did that, that led directly to me getting the job at The Daily Show. So my advice for you is if there's something crazy you want to do, go do it. And I have lived my life by that.
Oh, wow.
And somehow it worked out. I have no idea how.
Interesting.
That's way better than like I live my life a quarter mile at a time. If anybody's ever watched the American Wonder of Fast and the Furious, but no, I really dig that because I come from I dropped out of an MFA, a creative writing MFA, because I'm dumb and love wasting tons of money that I'll pay for forever. But you know, like everybody has an opinion about an MFA, right? They're like, so a lot of people think they're garbage. A lot of people think they're help. I'm in the middle. I learned a ton, but oddly enough, like when I started doing this, you know, like all I do now is talk to writers and artists, and I get to talk storytelling and I get to talk structure, and I get goofy, you know, too, but like, you know, like if you guys listen to my show or even tonight, like we've talked about process and creation and stuff. And I've gotten to talk to so many more writers, and I started the podcast last July. And so like Blake's Buzz podcast was like last July was the first episode where I polled questions and answered them myself before I had a guest. But I get to talk to writers all the time of numerous kinds of, you know, like, you know, horror, all the genre fictions. And like, I've learned so much more in doing this and getting to talk to you guys and like seeing how you tick, what makes you passionate, what makes you want to put up with the bullshit and tell your stories. Cause there's a lot of bullshit you guys got to put up with. It's a lot, especially when you kickstart, you know, or when you Zoop or when you crowdfund in whatever way, like you're putting that on your shoulders and carrying that, you know, from point A to point B to point C across, you know, you're carrying these big, massive logs across the finish line. Right. And like, and so it's so interesting to learn how you guys do this and get passionate about it. Like whether you watch Gail Simone inspire 1,000 people when she's bored one night, because that's the fucking kind of person she is, right? She's wonderful. she's human, but she's not human, right? She's beyond. Or whether you tell a story of a generation on accident where it just happens to release when the nation is changing, and you're saying the right things and making the right moves at the oddly right time, right? And how beautiful that is, and how random life really is, right? Like, we all want to say life is boring and the day in and the day out, right? Like, we deal with that bullshit and it gets heavy. The monotony gets heavy, right? But how truly random like greatness and surprises are, and how they change our lives from one way to the next. And so it's so cool to talk to you guys. But I won't fucking lie, man. I've talked to some cool people, and no one is a black belt. No one is a playwright, and no one is a fucking actor. Like, you are like this new comic book holy trinity. You're this fucking enigma. And like I get and like we mentioned, this and just how metal of a title is Snow White Zombie Apocalypse. But so you've got 4 issues out right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got 4 issues out and two like mini issues. Three mini issues. And we're gonna do right now. We have the Snow White Zombie Apocalypse Volume 1 is live right now on Kickstarter. I'll even throw the link up again. So it's live. It's ready to go. You can give this thing your money, which you should. And there's also a real nice hardcover, which is just daring me to fucking give it money. I want to, like I said, I spent some bucks on your last campaign, so I can say this. I feel like I've already thrown you money. I really want to buy the hardcover. I'm just like, I just need to make sure, like, I make the mistake of backing Kickstarters, and then like on the 15th of the month, I get like those oopsie charges on my credit card sometimes, and I try really hard to avoid that, right? Anyways, like, the new there's a soft cover trade too, which is more affordable. As he mentioned, there's these really beautiful tarot cards, which I have no fucking idea how to tarot. I don't know anything about my own future, your future, their future, or anybody's future. But why do I see these tarot cards on Kickstarter and I'm like, yeah, I fucking need those. I'm going to use them as a bookmark. I'm going to I love like putting those in like little bookmarks and like just random shit that, but he's got like 3 sets. So like you've almost built the whole
major
deck.
arcana. We're almost there. In fact, actually, you'll notice we're at 16,316. If we can get past 17,000, I will be making another 6 tarot. I haven't officially announced that yet because I wrote the whole update to announce it, and then I accidentally closed the window.
Oh, they were gonna say like then I had to fight 16 people before breakfast.
Yeah.
And after I snapped the 16th nest, I vomited in the earth and I ate my cornflakes and I said, "Fuck this update. I'm gonna take a nap."
Yeah. So the cover that you're seeing right now, that's the one for that's the standard cover for the book and the hardcover. That and this other one here, those are both by Adam Bryce Thomas, who draws Sonic the Hedgehog and Samurai Jack for IDW.
Oh, cool.
He's really great to work with. Has done some incredible stuff. This is Hyondo Park's art of Rapunzel doing the 1-inch punch.
Yes, like look how fucking metal that is. She's so bad. I love her. She's so mean. She's so like, but I mean, like, you got to be like mean and guarded because like she had to cut her hair off. I also love how traumatized she is. Like when she thinks her hair is kind of a character in this narrative, and when they think back to like this part where her and the prince and whatever happened when they had to escape and she had to cut her hair off, there's like this dead silence where like when you're like remembering like when I'm thinking of like the things they carried, the Vietnam novel, and when he wrote all this when he saw his friend step on a landmine and die shortly after, and he wrote like all these war narratives, is how Rapunzel feels when like she thinks about her hair. But it's not me saying that makes it sound like lame, but it works so well on the page, and her hair is like this character and this part of her that she lost, and there's this huge weight to it that carries out through the narrative and makes her what she is as a character. And it just, God, you're a fucking good writer. How dare you? Just get out of here.
What's really cool, by the way, so in a way, Rapunzel and Snow White are kind of almost a binary, like they're poles apart. Snow White, because she's been asleep for the majority of the zombie apocalypse, she gets awakened and she's still in like the zombie, or she's still in the Disney headspace.
I love it.
Yeah. And Rapunzel has changed everything about herself to survive and to be with Prince Charming. And so there's just that inherent tension between the two of them, because they're both in love with Charming. Charming's in love with both of them. And like it just sparks fly with that relationship. It's also, I don't know if anybody, I'm going to guess people probably have heard of this, but anybody watch the Dragon Ball Z Abridged series?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. It's phenomenal. Just look it up. It's Team 4-star. But they do a really great job of generating humor between like Vegeta and Goku, because Vegeta has this like very specific idea of how you be powerful, how you do things. And Goku is just an idiot who blunders into everything, and it works out for him. He's constantly beating Vegeta. So it's not even just like the rivalry, but just the fact that someone exists with the brain of Goku and manages to beat Vegeta, like cuts at Vegeta's like core, and he will piss him off just by existing. And in a lot of ways, like that really informed the relationship between Snow White and Rapunzel. And it's not even Snow White's fault, and I think that just makes Rapunzel angrier.
And here we can see some of the tarot and the coins that are just so cool. I got a couple. I got the devil and someone else in the last Kickstarter. I got like for stretch goals, and they're just nice, and they're glossy, and they're smooth, and you can you hold them and just feel like you might be able to tell the future. It just like gives you that vibe. Like anyways, so I really want to give you so much more money. I'm just broke.
Anything you can do to help out, and I really appreciate being invited on this. So anything you do to help out is fine. I very much believe in mutual aid. I will point out with the tarot, by the way, there's a card. It's the one that's to the right. This is the Celtic cross formation. And maybe there's a clue about Snow White in this thing, about like where the series is going. But the inverted card with Nyx, the Black Fairy, the Death card, that is actually based on a friend of mine, Johanna Moresco, who is the violinist for Crew Shadows and also a model. She graciously allowed me to base the character on her.
Man, I feel like you're just living a way better life than I am. I'm not gonna lie. With my model friend, we made this sexy tarot card, and I was like, did I mention I was like a black belt and I wrote plays and like I performed these plays in New York, and I also acted in some, because I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like I feel like you have stories like for days, like stories where you're like, Blake, we're not going to talk about this live on YouTube, but maybe one day.
I probably do. I got arrested at Occupy Wall Street and thrown into a motorcycle by a cop. I hiked the entire Appalachian Trail, Maine to Georgia, and I've led like international wilderness adventure. So here's the thing. I am completely out of my mind. And somehow it's worked out, and I haven't crashed and burned like I always expect I will. But it means a lot that people, think what I'm doing is interesting enough to put money behind it. And, it makes me feel less isolated and crazy.
Yeah, you're not like
Does that
screaming
make
into the
sense?
void, right? No, like
Yeah.
I mean, I thought your story was cool. Like I just did not. I wasn't expecting like the. You have like you have a fucking dope origin story. Like if you were a comic book superhero, like I wouldn't be mad if like it wouldn't be like, oh really, Batman, we gotta watch the fucking pearls hit the street again in the fucking alley. I've seen this like 85 times. I've seen Uncle Ben die more times than I've made student loan payments, and I've made student loan payments forever. You know, like you don't have that vibe. You know, you're like I'm this fucking fresh, like you know, fantasy telling wild motherfucker out on the streets, like living the life and playing the game. I dig it.
Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I found that one of the things that's really interested me about art and like the kind of art that I get most excited to produce is just when you are pulling from something true within your life or within a specific way that you view the world. I find that oftentimes like that's the real that's really where like sort of the rubber meets the road of artistic creation. If you guys, there's a play by Greg Cotis. He's got several plays, but he's the playwright. He wrote Urinetown about like the society where you have to pay to pee wherever you go. And like he was in my karate dojo, and I after like sparring with him for a little bit, like I invited him out and we like sat down for a few drinks near Union Square, and I was just like, so how do you be an artist? How do you get this? Like how do you do what you do? And what he told me was, he said, you know, people get this wrong when they talk about genius. We talk about genius as if it is a characteristic of a person, as if a person is a genius. But like originally, like where the word comes from in Greek, no one was a genius. They had a genius that was inspiring them supernaturally, essentially. So what he said to me was that the key to like creating great art is to listen to your genius when it speaks to you, as opposed to try to be this thing that, you know.
That's cool.
So
Like
yeah, he's a great guy. And one of these days I will kick him in the head.
Well, transitioning from genius, as
Yeah,
we're gonna go. Well, there's one book we haven't talked about tonight, which just let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that it just impressed as my father says, the ever living shit out of me. It just impressed the ever living shit out of me. Tomb, Ian's Tomb comic, which is in its third issue, which like oh my god, like okay, first of all, have you guys read that that new comic by Tynion, what's it called, or there's the black hat and they like conspiracy theory
Department of Truth?
huh
Department of Truth?
yeah set that shit on fire and
Oh,
throw
no,
in the
no.
goddamn garbage.
Oh wow.
No.
Because fucking,
No.
because Tomb of the Black Horse, the prequels to Tomb of the Black Horse are so good. No, I love Department of Truth. It's amazing, but
You're writing checks I can't cash.
they are cashed, sir. Okay. I was raised, okay, so this is funny. I was talking about this on a podcast the other day. I was raised Catholic. I love horror stories. I love being scared. My dad let me watch Alien when I was very young, and it like traumatized me, but now like made me like a better person. I went and saw Fire in the Sky. Like my fucking dad took me to see Fire in the Sky as a kid, and like for the longest time I was scared that like aliens were going to take me away and like probe me and do crazy shit to me. Like at night when like cars pass by and like the headlights like shone through the windows and lit up the blinds, like I thought there was a fucking UFO coming to take me away. Like that was real. Like I had a real legit fear that was going to happen.
You know,
I
the
used to
funny
watch.
thing,
I used to watch Sightings and cry.
yeah, the funny thing is that there's a shirt that I almost wore tonight, but decided not to. And that is one of someone getting abducted by aliens in the desert, and it says, "Get in, loser. We're doing butt stuff."
That's
wow.
awesome.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
but-
I could have triggered you with my shirt right then if I had remembered.
No, like it's good now. Like things are fine now. Like I appreciate it, but just, as a child, like I was like legit just I was like counting the days until aliens took me away and probed me and dissected me and like that's where I didn't think I had a future. I was like, I'm gonna be fucking 10 years old. Aliens are gonna take me away. Like I'm never gonna be anything. Anyway, I was raised Catholic, and the only thing that scared me more than that was the fucking rapture when my buddy showed me the last book of the Bible and was like, "You want to fucking read some shit? Here, read some shit." And I was like, "What the fuck? Like seals are opening. These fucking angels are coming. These fucking like lion-headed, scorpion-tailed locusts are marching down the streets and annihilating everyone and eating everyone. And there's fucking blood and fire and all right, so like that used to that fucked me up, right? I was like, what? Like, no, this isn't like what happened to like Jesus being like, "Hey guys, want some fish and bread? Here, man, here's some fish and bread." Like, no, we will rain fire and ice down onto earth and you will be traumatized and every sin you ever made will be brought back tenfold until your tears turn into dust and you celebrate hell where we send you. And it was just like this intense fucking thing, right? And so yeah, Ian fucking triggered me hardcore with these fucking like the seal bears, right? That's what they are. You're like reaching into this fucking creepy biblical shit. This one isn't going to be as fun because it's short, but it's short and sweet, right? But here's the solicit for the, I'm going to call it the Black Album, right? Like this.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Oh, that's fun. I like that.
A secret compound in the Montana wilderness, an ancient power exploited by the world's most powerful, and the two vengeful parents who will learn firsthand what lies within the tomb of the Black Horse.
It was everything I could have hoped for and more.
Dude, it's so fucking good. Those first two issues are so good. Like, there's no way that this can't be good. You can't write two fucking bangers like that and then just be like, "Well, I gave up. I phoned this one in. Sorry, guys." I took the Kickstarter money and got some hookers and blow and took the wife for a vacation. It was good. It was fine. It's good. Like,
I'm always concerned that I'm not gonna because everything you do should get better, right? Like your first thing is your worst thing, and everything kind of builds from there. And I'm always concerned, like, maybe maybe the last one was better, but everything I've seen so far from what Benjamin has done with the art and what Shan has done with the colors, this is going to be the best one by far.
Oh, are you going to do 7?
No,
There's 7. There's 7.
There's
7
well, there's
things,
4,
right?
So there's 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse.
But 7 seals. That's okay.
Right,
The 7 seals. What I was thinking.
So we've imagined it as a 4-part series. The next one is going to be Tomb of the Pale Horse. It's going to be the last one, and then we're going to collect it. But yeah, I was unlike you, Blake. I was raised in a secular household, so I didn't go to church, and everything that I learned about Catholicism, I kind of viewed through the lens of like, not to be disrespectful, but like high fantasy, right? Like
no, it'd be disrespectful. They're
right. It was
weird.
always a way of like, these are things that people believe, but and I was always encouraged to like believe what I wanted to believe as a kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, it always seemed to me to just be like, really, as a kid who grew up reading Stephen King and Dean Koontz and things like that, like it always just kind of seemed to be the wildest form of like high fantasy. And I didn't really set out to write it as I didn't really write it as anything related to religion. It started as a ghost story, and then as we kind of built upon the story, it kind of broke out into this much larger thing, and the themes just kind of kept appearing, and especially a way to mirror like humanity's downfall against problems that are uniquely American and that are plaguing like our country, because obviously I'm not I'm not a world traveler, so my scope kind of limits to like North America. So pointing out or subtly pointing out the problems that we've got in this country is like the backbone of all of these stories.
How did you structure that first issue? That first issue was, all right, guys, I don't know if you've read it or not. If not, shame on you, but back his Kickstarter. I'm going to pull up the link because you can get all the you can get the back issues.
Yep.
He even sent me he sent me the issues, and I still am gonna buy them because I could not experience that only digitally. Like I want to like hold that pain, hate, and fear in my hand and like turn those pages, and I want to feel that trauma, right? I want to feel that fuckery between my fingertips. Is what I want to do.
Someone who's stared at it for quite a while, Ben's double page spread in Tomb of the Red Horse towards the end is probably one of the highlights of my career, being a part of something like that. So, that was one of the most surprising things about the campaign was the amount of physical issues of the first 2 copies we sold, which to me means people who backed digitally previously like the book enough to back it physically, or that we've just picked up that many new people who are interested in the book. So either way, like I feel like it's a super positive sign.
I feel so like I looked at your other campaigns and they've been getting better, and this one's pretty good, right? I mean, you even commented. You're like, what's happening?
Right? Yeah. No. It. I mean, each one has done better than the last. I mean, we had a higher take from Tomb of the Red Horse, a slightly lower backer count. But we fixed our pricing a little bit because we were charging a little too low for Tomb of the White Horse. So we fixed our pricing with Red Horse, got fewer backers, but made more money. And this was just like, I don't know, like we just kind of like blew it away out of the gate. And it was surprising. It was a lot like, I was telling my wife, I was like, it's a lot like Christmas Day where like everything just kind of went really well. Like it's just, you know what I mean? Like better than I could have expected. And I already kind of had high expectations.
I felt so stupid because it was a while ago when you sent me the first 2 issues of this. Like you were like, I think it was around Halloween when I was talking about horror comics, and you were like,
oh, sure, yeah.
You were like, here's a couple horror comics for you. And like, I'm not going to lie. And anybody who like tries to hit me up and wants review copies and like one of the reasons why I've started this live show is so I can help promote more Kickstarters that I wouldn't normally have time for. And so like, it's my hope that I can do like the weekly podcast, but also do these kind of like, live forums where we can like talk and nerd out. And emails get lost, review issues get lost. I'm one person. Like I'm big enough for 2 people, but I'm one person. And so like, but I'm not perfect, and I'm kind of a fucking mess too. And like, I lose shit, and I felt so dumb. Like when I was like, oh, well, I got to read these because like you're going to come on my show and I got to be like prepared. And I read them and I was like, how the fuck? Like these have just been sitting there for a couple months and you just fucking didn't read them. Like 2 of the best, like ladies and gentlemen, listeners of Blake's Buzz, watchers live, people that watch this later, I'm going to fucking tell you, this is one of the best horror comics I've ever fucking read. Like when I compared it to Department of Truth, it has that first arc vibe. That's how these 2 issues felt, was those first 6 issues. Like I'm not gonna that discomfort, the realness that's ingrained within our culture, both religious and societal, and just how we are as an American people. Those first 2 issues, man, I just have no idea where the third one's gonna take us. Like you're a goddamn genius. Like,
so
it's insane.
So I'm not a very good salesman, and I'm not really good at hyping my own shit up. But I will say this: one of the big things about this issue was, we realized that the structure of the books relate a lot to like a thing coming out of the tomb, right? Like there's this box or this a shape of some kind. So we wanted to kind of turn that on its head. So people will be going into the tomb this time. We will be exploring what happens on the other side of this, rather than just how it affects our world.
I love this cover too, by the way.
Oh, I mean, listen. So I can't say enough about Kim Myatt and their contribution to the book. I mean, it's worth what we add to the budget for it. I mean, their work is absolutely amazing. I mean, I've been privileged to work with a lot of really great creators. I've already told my wife that if anything happens to us, I'll be marrying Benjamin immediately if he'll have, because he's honestly one of the best collaborators I could ever hope to have. Yeah, I mean, it's been a really tremendous experience to get to work on this stuff, and also just to again have such talented people like Hassan doing the letters is just amazing. Like the amount
I
of
mean, yeah, you got the best letter in the game, basically.
I mean, I don't want to rank anybody, but I mean the amount of books this guy works on and the amount of crazy stuff that he does, and I mean I could point to specific examples of Red Horse where, I mean his choices with lettering just improved the book so much. Yes. And Dervla Kelly did such an amazing job on the colors with we were looking for this kind of like impossible red color for the book, and she did such a great job. Yeah, so it's been a really amazing team.
You have big names behind you, like
yeah. I mean, we have kind of like a specific way of curating the book that like we have like a lot of time is spent talking about the mood and the tone, and we spend a lot of time reviewing like different people and trying to make the right choices. And obviously it's difficult with availability and who we can afford and stuff like that, but yeah, I mean the thing for me is it's all about collaboration. It's all about the people I work with, and yeah, I've been really lucky. It's been great.
Well, I mean you're lucky, but you got a fucking hell of a script, dude. Like,
oh, thank you.
I mean, you've got great art and letters and everything.
By the way,
thank you, Brenton.
Yeah, if you when there anything that deals with tombs, and I was also raised Catholic.
Right.
Oh, you're gonna love it, dude. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
We took like the first Horseman of the Apocalypse is the Horseman of Conquest, and we wanted to do the non-obvious interpretation of these things. So instead of conquest as like an invading army, we did it sort of like the conquest of ideologies, about how people are so separated and people are confident in what they know and they're not open to other people's opinions. And it's that lack of cohesion that kind of doomed these three guys to their fate in the first story. And then the second horse, the Red Horse of War, like, again, we didn't want to do something where it was just like a bunch of people fighting each other, right? So we kind of turned war into like a play for power, and the struggle for the war between our need to like become our parents or become something different or rebel against that. Yeah. So this is and this is our Eat the Rich issue.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. This is my fuck corporations, and really like announcing the book so close to the dubious announcement of Kickstarter going to blockchain was kind of like fortuitous in a way, because my whole thrust with Tomb of the Black Horse is like all corporations are inherently evil, right? Like anything that is primarily motivated by profit is inherently evil, and is going to sacrifice human rights and human well-being in the sake of profit. And that's what like kind of Black Horse is about, is like a concentration of this. And what do these people do that are the most powerful? And also kind of playing off themes of like the Illuminati and the fact that there are like a small group of people in control of an inordinate amount of power. Yeah.
This sounds like it's perfectly up my alley.
Oh, great. Well, yeah, I hope you like it. Yeah, it's gonna be.
You're so well spoken, Ian. Like you're so not meant for Blake's buzz. Like I'm like dick farts and fucks and it's pretty. You're like I'm actually tearing down the barriers. We're gonna go back to Jacques Derrida. We're gonna tear apart and really analyze the infrastructure of Western civilization and break it down like if a demon just took a big fat shit on it and just fucking lit everything on fire. I'm like, it's so good.
I want to be counted among Jared Lujan when they talk about comic book existentialists. That's nice. To be second place to him as far as that. No, I'm really excited. Like I want to say so much more, but I don't want to spoil anything. That's another, like, I think one of the obstacles we face with the book is like there's so much cool shit, but there's just so much, like, we have to kind of play close to the vest because it is very spoilery. But for anyone, so Blake, if you've read them, and they're not up on the campaign page yet, but we have 2 colored pages by Shan that are out on, like, the Twitter feeds and out in the wild, and all of the stories kind of tangentially relate to one another. So at the end of White Horse, Conquest shoots an arrow into the sky, and at the beginning of Red Horse, that arrow destroys Air Force One. And then if you notice in the beginning, one of the colored pages is page 1, that it takes place in, like, an airfield. And we'll see, like, where the president's plane took off from. So it's like kind of this neat little continuation.
I made myself laugh in red because I was like reading it when they're in the tunnel, and like I was like reading his voice as Trump. And I was just I was like, man, he'd be like, no, this is the best thing ever. There was a greatness before, but this is the best thing now. And so I made this great again forever.
There were a lot of talks between me and Benjamin about how to make him Trumpy without making him Trump. You know what I mean? Like we wanted to make him more generic and not lean too heavy on it. But there's I lived in Las Vegas for a little while, for about 4 years. And one of the things that one of, like, the horror stories about Vegas was that they had an unfinished subway system below the city. They started boring the tunnels and they never finished it. And it is now home to, like, a huge colony of the homeless population. And then there's, like, all sorts of videos and photos inside where, like, people, like, live in there. And obviously the city is not set up for drainage because it really very rarely rains. So, like, sometimes those tunnels flood and those people die. And I'm just like, what a horrible idea to have all these people packed, underneath the city, like these kind of, so that's where all of the spoiler alerts, where all of the people coming out of the tunnels and stuff like that below the city came from.
Where did you get your ideas from for, like, the designs of these sealed bears, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, what happens to the president of the United States, which I don't want to spoil, but that was just
most of it,
like, beautiful. I want to call it beautiful because it was like I've never seen anything like it before, and it was like eye-opening and like ocularly orgasmic. Like, right? Is that a real phrase? We can make it one. But was that you, or were you like, I kind of like, how do you balance that out with your artist?
So that was one. I want to say it's as 100% Ben as possible. I come to the table with something, like, here's what my idea is, and basically any note he wants to make, I take, right? Because, he has tremendous instincts, and, that's one of the great things about co-creating with him, is because there's just certain things that I'm not as well versed in, and how he knows how it's going to look on the page, and his instincts always kind of tie into what I'm trying to do thematically, and even to printing of the book. Like, it was very important for him to, like, hit the print specs and find the printer that he wanted. And one of the things we got a lot of compliments on with White Horse was just how well the book was made. So I will say that I will give Benjamin full credit for the design of the horseman. I'm sure
you're a lazy writer.
Huh? Say what?
I said, so you're a lazy writer.
Oh, totally. Well, I come with it, but yeah, totally. I mean, I let him make all of the moves, right? Like, I know when I have a good thing, and I'm not going to push back against an expert like that, too. So, his designs have always been a real treat, and I actually have not seen his designs for Famine yet. I've seen some preliminary work, but he's keeping them close to the vest because he wants to get it right before he shows it to me. But it's really great stuff. We have a lot of, like, really interesting things planned.
So I'm, like, a big nerd on, like, tension building, because I think tension makes great narratives, right? And so everybody always, I've been in a lot of writing workshops, and I've listened to a lot of people talk on how to build tension, and everybody always reminds you to, like, think of the small stuff, right? Your small everyday worries, right? Like, oh, did I leave the stove on? Oh, did I leave my wallet at home? Oh, did I leave my keys on the table, right? And you do this in the first issue, like, so well. Like, okay, so we have this guy and his, like, wife and kid are dead, and like he's coming back to work after this, right? So like just think of that, like, oh, my fucking life fell apart, and they gave me like maybe a month or two to like figure my shit out before I had to come back to work. So this guy comes back to work with all this fucking trauma and drama behind him, right? And his coworkers are like, I don't want to fucking work with this guy. So there's all this like work drama, right? And it's like building up, and it's intense, and then there's this like mysterious package that shows up, and then they're arguing over the package, and like the argument like gets kind of heated, and then you're like your skin starts standing up here, right? You're like I'm uncomfortable, like I want to keep turning the pages because I'm very involved, but like this is very real, and like I've been in these uncomfortable circumstances before, and it's just so universal and genius to like anchor you into the narrative. So you're there, right? And then this crazy package shows up, and then they're like, I'm gonna open it, and they're like, no, don't fucking open it. And then they're like, he opens it, and then like it's this fucking weird vault, and then they fucking open the vault, before they get to the vault, it's surrounded by Bibles, right? So they get this mysterious package that is wrapped in like plastic trash bags with Bibles underneath it. They open it, and there's all these Bibles, and they're like, what the fuck are all these Bibles doing? And then there's this fucking safe, and they have the fucking a safe that gives you the combination. I don't trust it, right? Like no one just gives you the fucking combination. So like there's just all these elements that like are making you as a reader uncomfortable, simultaneously excited to turn every single page, right? Like you are having to remind yourself to slow down and appreciate the artwork and not fly through the dialogue, because you want to skim it and you want to turn the page, but you have to be like, no, this is good. We need to celebrate its goodness. That's how you know you have good comics, right? Because it's like, you know, sometimes you want to turn the pages too quick, and you have to remind yourself, like, hey, I'm not paying attention to the art, or hey, I'm not paying attention to the writing, and you got to take a break. You do that, dude. Like you do that in spades. And that first issue, I read this thing first thing this morning. Like I woke up, I was like brewing my coffee, making my breakfast. Knew we were doing the show today, and I read this, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? And then I read the second issue, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, Ian, you got me excited about like horror again. And I'm always excited about horror, but you like got me double fucking excited. Like you're a fucking talent and a scholar and a madman.
You're
like,
you're too nice. You're too nice. One of the things for me is, one of my favorite directors is, I'm sure it's not surprising, is John Carpenter. And one of the things I like so much about Carpenter is, especially in two of his films, like The Thing and Prince of Darkness, he's very beholden to rules. And I'm a big fan of horror that has rules. And they don't have to be overt, or they don't have to be overtly stated. But there need to be rules, right? And I have a lot of problems with like ghost stories, because a lot of times in ghost stories, ghosts appear or do things whenever it's convenient for the plot to like juice us up and make something a little scary. But Prince of Darkness is the sort of thing where everybody does exactly what they're supposed to do. Somebody finds something that kind of is weird and like possibly unholy, and hires and convinces a bunch of grad students to like come and scientifically observe this thing to prove that it doesn't obey the laws of physics. And I think that was like my big thing, is like that all of this stuff has to have a reason, and there are very specific mechanics behind the scenes that we kind of want to like hide from everybody and maybe not reveal immediately, but like they're there. Like there's like a purpose for all of these things. There's a reason for all of this stuff happening. Hopefully with the last issue, that's going to become at least partially clear, or somewhat clear, or I'm going to hint at it. That's also like a big thing I struggle with. Is like how much to reveal and how much to tell, and how much to leave to the imagination, because you don't want to be too vague, but also you don't want to overstate your premise, right? So,
yeah.
But yeah, like there is a reason that these things are doing what they're doing. It's not by chance, and there will be at least somewhat of an explanation in the last one. And I finished the script for Pale Horse in the beginning of the year, and boy, is that a lot about my dad dying. So, and then if you thought this shit was sad before, like it's gonna get really It's gonna get pretty morbid in the last one, but I haven't gone through edits yet, but I'm really happy with it. Like, and I think the whole thing works cohesively as a whole. So hopefully it'll be more than the sum of its parts.
And then you said you're planning on coming back and dropping a trade after the 4th?
Yeah, I think right now the plan might be right now to do a Kickstarter with the 4th issue and the trade together.
Okay.
To kind of get things out of the way and kind of get it all in one big thing. So that's, I don't know, maybe later this year or next year, we'll see. But yeah, one foot in front of the other. But yeah, I'm excited to have it.
Fuck that, man. 2 feet planted together, jump as far as you can. You're good. You're all right. You're fucking gravy, dude. Like, if after those 2 issues and the success of, like I said, I have no, you can't, there comes a point when the narrative is so fun and exhilarating and done well that, like, you can't fuck it up. Maybe you won't stick the ending, like, but even if you don't stick the ending, if it's not perfect, because no ending is ever perfect, right? Because we all get our ideas, and rarely are our ideas like this exact same as the creators. But, like, I just don't see how this series could end and let people down. You just know you're fucking in it, man. You're in the darkness. You're fucking in that gateway.
I do feel,
dude.
Love it.
I do feel like I am in the darkness. Yeah, no, we were really, like, when I talked to Benjamin after, like, I don't know, like the first 48 hours, I was like, the most relaxing thing to me is, like, it feels like we kind of have like an open runway for Pale Horse now. It feels like that with the overwhelming response to this one, as long as we don't shit the bed, that we're pretty much a shoo-in for getting the whole thing over the line. And that's really just kind of like, I'm not really thinking about things farther than just like getting it all finished and getting it together. Like, I have a couple of things that I'm going to be working on in the future, but like for right now, it's just kind of like getting Tomb finished and getting it over the line. So.
Cool.
Well, guys, I know it's getting late, so I'm gonna hit you with a zinger that I want everybody to answer, and then I figure we'll go around and tell everybody, like, where to follow us and find us on social media. Yeah, like, where to harness our giblets and whatnot. But so all of you are dealing with you've dealt with some weirdness of society and approaching, if not like wrestling with the post-apocalyptic, you're approaching it in one way or another. And so I'm just gonna, how do you guys want the world to end? Like, let me hit you with the weirdest fucking question that I hope no one ever asked you before, because I feel pretty good about this. I feel like that's like, I'm like riding high on me as an interviewer asking that question. I feel like that's a good question. So, like, let's go around. Let's go around. Brian, how you want the world to end, baby?
Oh man, I'm going to go with a bit of Matrix here, and I'm gonna say that the world will kind of end with a new beginning, where I firmly believe that the only thing that will kind of correct mankind to, like, an about face is an alien invasion of some kind. Where we really, get that, where we realize that we're not like the superior.
Yeah, we're not everything we thought we were.
like the higher power isn't necessarily this God that we're trying to attain, but there's actually superior beings, and I think that will wake us up, and that will kind of end our world as we know it, but not an actual destruction of the earth. I don't
like a psychological break. That's even more fucked up. Like, we just all go insane. Our psyches crumble, and we have to pick ourselves up from the nothingness.
A huge paradigm shift for sure.
Yeah. Man, I dig that. I've often thought that a really cool story would be like where humanity, like the not the best of humanity, but the most powerful of humanity was confronted with someone or with a being that changed the way that they thought. And like, I mean, these, like, people in power, people with billions of dollars, people that, like, you cannot influence, right? Like, you can't change the way they think, but something happens to, like, change the way they think. And that's that. I'm not that good of a storyteller yet, right? Because it's like a good idea, but you gotta, how do what happens, right? You can't figure it out. It's like a hard thing to figure out. But I love that. I love like being faced with a new fear, a new intelligence, like a new way of thinking, of being, of existing, that just everything we know crumbles and has to
Everything we know
has to rise from the ash like a phoenix, right?
There we go.
All right. So it doesn't really the hegemony ends, right? But humanity goes on.
Yes.
I did not exactly think that you would provide the hopeful scenario in this. I like that though. Like I like that.
Go figure. From darkness comes light.
Hey, all right. Okay, so all right, Brenton. Like, how do you want the world to end?
So this is interesting because I'm a Buddhist, and part of the liturgy that I chant is Gangyo, and it's parts of the Lotus Sutra chanted in Japanese, so with regard to Hindu belief that influenced Buddhist belief, there is the idea of kalpas, which stand for a really long amount of time. So like essentially like all of reality, Brahma, the Godhead, sleeps. And as Brahma sleeps in each of these kalpas, we are all the dream of Brahma. And at the end of each kalpa, because there's a long one where everything is really great. There's a mostly long one where evil starts to whittle its way in. There's one which is the second to last, where the forces of goodness and evil are balanced perfectly. And the fourth kalpa is called the Kali Yuga. And this is where evil wins. By the way, that is where most Hindus believe that that's the kalpa we are actually living in right now. So that's important to understand the background here. So one of the things that I'll chant in Japanese, the English translation, part of it is, when living beings witness the end of a kalpa and all is consumed in a great fire, this my land remains safe and tranquil, constantly filled with heavenly and human beings. The halls and pavilions of its gardens and groves are adorned with various kinds of gems. Jeweled trees abound in flowers and fruit where living beings enjoy themselves at ease. The gods strike heavenly drums, constantly making many kinds of music. Mandarava blossoms rain down, scattering over the Buddha and the great assembly. My pure land is not destroyed, yet the multitude see it as consumed in fire, with anxiety, fear, and other sufferings filling it everywhere. So to those who practice the meritorious ways, who are gentle, peaceful, honest, and upright, all of them will see me here in person preaching the law. At times, to this multitude, I describe the Buddha's lifespan as immeasurable. And for those who see the Buddha after only a long time, I explain how difficult it is to meet a Buddha. Because of their befuddlement of ordinary people, I give out word that I have entered extinction, for if they see me constantly, arrogance and selfishness arises in their mind. Abandoning restraint, they give themselves up to the 5 desires and fall into the evil paths of existence. Always I am aware of which living beings practice the way and which do not. In response to their needs for salvation, I preach different doctrines. At all times, I think to myself, how can I cause living beings to gain entry into the unsurpassed way and quickly acquire the body of a Buddha? So that is my answer. In the apocalypse that destroys the universe is actually a new beginning that brings us into the Buddha's pure land. Yeah.
Respect that.
Awesome.
Cool.
Hey man, I wouldn't mind finding enlightenment. But also sometimes I'm scared of it. Like sometimes because I feel like once you find that higher being, once you find that higher intelligence, like you can't like hide behind your own bullshit anymore, right? And that's like my fucking go-to defense mechanism. So it's like it'd be like a total like and which is what you talked about, right? Like everything is turned inside out, upside down, and changed, and right. And there's a fear and a power and an exhilarance in that, which is exciting and also beautiful. Like that's I wish I'm not very. I was raised Catholic, and I was a poorer family in the school that I went to, and so my dad was the janitor at our school, and we were treated. My sister and I we're kind of treated like the poor kids. They're like, oh, your dad's the janitor, but my dad was actually the janitor, so that like we could afford the tuition, so he could send us to the school. So it was like he kind of like sacrificed this to like do stuff right for his family, and like like it was kind of like a beautiful thing, and like people turned it around to a shitty deal. So anyway, I dig that. I would love for something to happen to this world that just kind of like negates all biasness, as crazy and unlikely and odd as that would be, and just to like the brief moment where we were all on the same level and could just kind of like embrace that universality and understand each other which is like we're never going to be able to do that even if we try, like everybody's so different. But if we were given that option, right, to like it just happens. And I feel like the world would have to end after that, right? Because there would be nothing left. There'd be like, okay, you did it. Like we've reached nirvana, right? We've found balance. We've found the beauty. We understand it, and that's just stop humanity there before we fuck it up again, right?
Yeah,
that's a big statement right there.
Right.
Wow. I bet all you motherfuckers were like, man, I didn't know we were gonna fucking get into this.
We're getting real deep now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, no pressure, Ian. How do you want the world to end?
Well, okay. So I had a long answer, but I have to pee so bad that I'm gonna paraphrase one of the great scholars from the 1980s, Alf, when asked about the destruction of his home planet Melmac, that everyone accidentally plugged their hair dryers in at the same time. So that's how.
Melmac.
Brilliant.
You're bringing back my childhood now. Melmac, 80s. I love it.
Well, hey, what do you want to do? You want to tell us where to find you, or you want to come back and I'll have the other guys do their?
No. I'll tell everyone go to tombcomic.com if you want to back the Kickstarter. You can find me on Twitter at Ian_face, or you can go to ianmondrick.com, sign up for my newsletter, The Blind Box, where I pair short fiction with indie comic art every month.
Sweet.
I'm going to go because I'm going to pee in my pants. So it was so great.
Great meeting, man.
Brian, was finally nice getting to talk to you face to face. Blake, thank you so much. Have me back anytime. I would love it. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great night.
Hey, appreciate you.
Bye.
Happy to meet you face to face, by the way, Brian.
Oh, same here. Absolutely. It's an honor.
Yeah, this all of you guys. Like we've all mentioned each other on Twitter, but yeah, it's so cool to get to talk to everybody. All right, Brenton, where's a good place to find you? Where do we follow you? Where do we keep track of you?
Yeah, so if you want to find me, best thing to do is Google my name, Brenton Lengel. I'm literally the only one in the world, which means I have to be careful.
That makes that easy.
If I screw up, I can't blame it on some other Brent. Best places to find me are on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. I'm most active on Facebook, but Twitter is where I do almost exclusively comic stuff and occasional hot takes. On YouTube, I've got my YouTube channel. We've got about 2,000 subscribers at the moment. We're growing.
Nice.
I do
teach me your ways.
Well, my way on this is to do constant debates with like far right weirdos. So that's part of the channel. I also do like arts and philosophy, talk about Buddhism, and you get an inside look at the comics that I'm creating. My website, www.brentonlengel.com, and you can also find my comic company is Autonomous Collective, and yes, that is a Python reference. So there's my Kickstarter, and then also Autonomous Collective's Kickstarter. We just recently, on top of Snow White Zombie, put out Darude, Shadow of the People.
Yeah, and that's graphic nonfiction, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct. It's fiction, but it's more historical fiction.
Historical fiction. Okay.
Yeah. So Buenaventura Darude was a real guy. He is one of my personal heroes. Started out as a bandit and Robin Hood figure in Spain in the 1930s. Cut a swath of revolutionary activity across 5 countries and 2 continents. tried to assassinate the Spanish king, was put in prison in France, which is where the story starts in issue number 1. And with what's going to happen with Durruti this is the true facts of his life. He is going to be released from prison. In the next issue, there's going to be a real life crossover between him and the famous Ukrainian anarchist Nestor Makhno, who defeated the White Army in the Russian Revolution. And then Durruti is going to go to Spain and fight the military, defeat them, collectivize the entire city of Barcelona, and then march on Madrid with an army of 10,000 anarchists. It's wow. The history is really fascinating. Durruti is an incredible human being, and if you pledge to Snow White Zombie Volume 1 because you missed the Durruti Kickstarter, I have the back issues of Durruti that are available, so you can get both the book and the Durruti comic, and I'm really looking forward to see where that goes. AK Press has gotten behind it, and we're also going to be working with the CNT the CNT. Which is the actual union that Durruti represented. And they're going to help distribute the book in Spain. So I'm really excited about that.
That's all. And there's only been one out, right, on Kickstarter so far? You've had one Durruti campaign? Yeah,
just the one Durruti campaign. We're going to launch a Spanish language version of that next. And then issue 2 will come. I also have another, I'm about to launch a 3rd series as well in a couple of months. This is a secret project that I'm working on with Kit Buss. If anyone is into the show Critical Role, Kit did the original art and character designs for season 1, and those designs just premiered on Amazon in Legend of Vox Machina. She's done a number of really great variant covers for me, and this is us doing a comic together. And I'll tell you what, if you're into my writing, if you're into Dungeons and Dragons, definitely check this out. I think it'll be huge, at least for me. I've been working on the story for quite a while, so I'm excited to finally get it out to people.
I feel like a lot of my audience will be into that. I want to be into Dungeons and Dragons. I saw a meme a while ago where it was like you and all your friends, and it's like everybody happy with a group of people, and you and all the people you try to play D&D with, and it's like you by yourself crying. And that's me. Like I love board games, and like my friends don't. I can cook. Like we've talked about that. Like I have dinner parties and stuff, and like I just can't get my friends into board games and D&D, and it's a bummer. And like, so I it's like a part of the nerd world I want to experience, but I haven't really got to yet. Brian, real quick, before we get to you, I just want to throw out Lawrence campaign. If you guys follow this link, this is for Sacrifice issues 1 through 3. You'll be able to get back issues in the new issue number 3. And I can promise you, as you heard me scream about from the rooftops earlier, this is a really good comic. It's wild action and demon slaying and magic, and also really solid one-liners. It's an amalgamation of everything fucking nerdy and wonderful, and the art is beautiful. If you click this link right here, you can get signed up for notifications, and Kickstarter will be annoying about it, and they'll be like, hey, here's 5 emails about this launching, and you'll back it because you should, because it's a good comic. And then we got Small Bites was another one we talked about tonight. And I will just paste this into here.
Oh, right, Sacrifice 1 and 2 you can't pledge to. Is there another Sacrifice? Because I went over.
Oh yeah, this one you can get notified.
Oh yeah,
so it has issue 3 hasn't launched yet. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna definitely pre-follow that.
and then we got Small Bites on Zoop, which I've got to read some, and it's very heavy hitting shorts and really, really solid art, and was awesome. And to close out the show, I'm still can't believe I'm talking to Brian Hawkins. So gnarly. So gnarly. Brian, you're so talented and everything, but it just shocked, again, like I mentioned to Brenton, it shocks me when I have somehow made this place on the internet for myself where I read really cool comics and like can hit you guys up and be like, do you want to come talk about it? And you say yes. It fucking freaks me out. Like it'll never end, and it's so cool. And I'm equally
freaked out too. I'm equally freaked out, trust me.
Like I've loved
all this is
everything
very
I've read
cool.
from you. Black Cotton was crazy. And then you've done some really cool Hellsing stuff with Xenoscope, and you got your new Black Box comic, and we got Act 3 of Poet. I'm gonna turn into fucking Kevin from Explain Yourself. I'm gonna say it all wrong now.
It's all good.
It's the no. The
lunatic
lover and poet. All right, we'll get there. But we got Act 3 of that to look forward to. We have more Black Cotton coming. And then we have the recently completed 1776. I keep forgetting the first part.
Leave on the Light, 1856.
Leave on the Light. I backed it, so I may not know the name, but I gave you my money. So.
I definitely.
But no, like I just I think you're an awesome writer. You're an awesome dude, and I love how humble you are. I love how humble everybody's been on this show tonight. Like, I read a lot of comics, guys, and I get a lot of review copies, and I read shit all the time, and all your stuff stands out, and the fact that you guys are just like, what? Oh, okay, thanks. Yeah, like I just was here at the right time at the like no, like. You're all fucking talented. You're all really good storytellers, and you're all passionate about the medium, and I love that. And that shows in your storytelling. But so Brian, where's the best place that we keep track of you and all the mad amounts of comics you drop every month? Like, how do we keep up with all this?
Brian Hawkins writes on mostly any social media except for Twitter. It's at Brian L. Hawkins. But Instagram, Facebook, my website, and my Substack is all Brian Hawkins writes. So if you Google that or type that in, it should come in.
And your Substack is there a paid one or is it all free?
No, it's all free right now.
I thought it was all free right now. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying, like, I just want to just create content, and I just want to just interact. So I'm not quite sure yet how I want to work the paid stuff, because I want it to be something that's really worthwhile for everyone, and while at the same time not being too extra as well. So I just want to just create content right now. And
well, you heard that, folks. Sign up quick while it's still free, because he's giving you free writing lessons. Like he's telling you what to do and how to do it and how to make it pretty in a nice little email package. So you should sign up for that. Buy all his comics. Definitely get Black Cotton Volume 1 because it's out from Scout right now. You can get it. And then you should really, if you know what's good for you, and I mean, I can only beat you over the head so much, but you should really go to Kickstarter. You should back Brenton's campaign too, because Snow White Zombie Apocalypse Volume 1 is the fucking heat. And he's got, if you want to pony up for the hardcover, you can get it. He's got a trade paperback that you can get. It's going to have some bonus stuff in it. He's got some real beautiful add-ons with the tarot cards and the coins and all sorts of stuff. I've read the first 4 issues, and I'm thinking about buying it again. Guys. Like I'm being
That's how you know.
legit for real. Like I have the singles, and I kind of want to get like the upgraded package with everything good to go. Everybody who's been on the show tonight is great. We've lost stragglers as the night went on, but I want to thank you both for hanging out with me to the end. I wish you both the best. Like both of you deserve it. You're hardworking writers, and you're champions of the graphic narratives, and I really appreciate that. And I appreciate how just thanks for being cool guys. That just like you're just here to tell stories and kick ass and chew bubble gum, and you're all out of bubble gum, right? So like, what's gonna happen next? Anything else that I'm missing that we want to shout out, or we want to wrap up the show and we all go to bed and have a better tomorrow? And anything else you guys want to say?
So I wanted to clarify, by the way, just with Deruti. So as far as the historicity of it, The way I approach historical fiction is this. The story is the most important part, but at the same time, I am looking to make it as historical as possible. And where I don't make it historical, I try to give you the essence of what that moment was, even if the facts are a little scrambled. So, a propagandist uses the truth to tell lies. An artist uses lies to tell the truth. So that's what I'm going for.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Well, so everybody keep telling lies. Lie to yourself, lie to your friends, lie to your family, lie to me. Tell me my show's great, even if you don't mean it. I'll take it. Share, like, subscribe. We'll be here every Wednesday, or we're trying. Guys, like, thank you for making me cooler. Thank you for making Blake's Buzz cooler. Thank you for making my night better. Like, I had a shit day at work today, and this was a really, really great way to end the night, and I appreciate both of you and the rest of the cast that bounced out.
That's awesome. I definitely enjoy being here, so thank you.
Yeah, it means a lot. Like, when you're a writer, or an artist, like it's a tough business. It's a tough world to be an artist in, and it can often feel like you're like screaming into the void. So when you find somebody who is passionate enough about your work that they want to talk to you, I cannot say how much I appreciate that. Both the fact that, you had me on here to talk about this, and also the fact that you're so excited about something that I did. It's kind of mind blowing.
Agreed. 100%.
Well, I'm here. Both of you, anything in the future that you need, if you're ever bored, want to come back on the show, definitely have you. Like, you're both fun to talk to. Awesome. And yeah, like I'm excited for future things. I'm so excited for more Snow White Zombie Apocalypse, because I just can't imagine the ways you can take that story. And Brian, I'm excited for more Black Cotton. I'm excited for Act 2 and 3 of the name that we can't ever remember how to say.
LLP.
But it's so good. Like I like.
Cool, thank you.
I love it. I love the Scream references. I love the art. I love the colors. I love the tension and the theatrics of it all. Right? Like, it's just man. I can't say it enough. You're both just
shout out to the artists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
they make us look good.
Yeah. Well, you guys, both of you have great artists on your books. I will say that the art is beautiful, and I'm excited for more. Give me more books. Give me more shit to read.
Well, you'll definitely get some new stuff.
Come back on when you need it, and we'll try and. I guarantee, like, there's at least 2 backers. You guys get like 2 backers from talking to me for 2 hours.
Cool. Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Brian, how much longer is your campaign running?
No, so issue 2 ended, like a month ago. So we're in the post-production now for Act 2, issue 2. Issue 3, I'm looking at May.
Okay,
I was about to say, because you've been moving and grooving with 1 and 2. Like, I feel like you were just. Well, I mean, you've just been hitting Kickstarter. Like, you've just been like,
yeah.
Like, who runs Kickstarter, the execs or Brian Hawkins? It's probably Brian Hawkins.
Yeah, it's so interesting because, like, I try to plan out, like, the Kickstarter that I'm doing for, like, the creator-owned stuff. In between, like, what I know that other publishers that I've worked with that are Kickstarting, I try not to overlap. So it's hard to just fit in. So I'm like, you're doing this when so it's all it's a juggling act. It's a juggling act. So
yeah, he can't make everybody happy. Just get your money. Just get your money to tell your stories.
Hopefully everyone would just want to read the story. So
yeah. Oh, there is somebody that I should shout out. I just realized. So Enon Films, who are the people they optioned the script to the film of Durruti about his life that the comic series is also covering. They helped me out a lot on Kickstarter, got me some really professional videos for the last 2 and 3 campaigns. And they also commissioned me. I'm writing a film called Wanderer's Feast. I hope to have the first draft done by the end of this week. Actually, I'm really close.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's
cool.
Yeah, it's from an incident in the life of Buenaventura Durruti when he was in Mexico, hiding, kind of on the lam, and this really happened. He contacted the local union there, where a lot of anarchists were, the CGT, and asked to meet with one of them, and it specifically asked to meet him at the nicest restaurant in town. So this, union anarchist person who didn't even feel necessarily right going to such a ritzy place, went to have a meeting over lunch with public enemy number one. And that's the film. It's called Wanderer's Feast. It's one of the better things that I've written so far, and I'm really excited for that film once it gets done, because there's some cool people attached to it. And
Nice.
yeah, just really want to keep working to paint Durruti's story across the sky.
That's amazing.
Cool, man.
Screenwriter as well.
Yeah. Well, I did it backwards.
He does it all. He does it all.
He does it all. That's amazing. I love it. Congratulations.
I'm stoked. It's weird because I did it backwards. I grew up being very into comics, and and in fact, one of the covers for the trade is an homage cover to Bill Watterson's Calvin and Hobbes, because that's what first made me want to do comics. And then I got into college. I was like, I need to be practical. I'll become an actor. So it's weird. I went from comics to acting, from acting to writing, from theater to film, and then from film back to comics.
And then back to film.
Yeah, and back to film. So yeah, I'm excited about this. And I will tell you guys this. I think as a writer, comics is the single hardest thing to write. It burns the most calories.
I respect that.
Comics are celery, right? You burn more calories eating it than you do.
Yeah.
Than you do. Or wait, you burn more calories chewing it than you do intaking from eating. I don't know. Celery.
Yeah. No. It makes sense.
It worked for a second until I fucked it up explaining it.
Is that Jameson?
No, what Jameson? I don't know what you guys are talking about.
All
Wish
right.
I
Well,
had some.
great to meet you guys. Brian, I will hit you up on Twitter. Are you part of the Secret Scout Comics group?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, we can talk through there. And yeah, thanks very much.
Are you talking about the one on?
Way to drop the
Facebook.
Illuminati bomb.
I think I am. If I only know of one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
okay.
if you're in the one, I think there's only one. Maybe you're in the good. Don't tell Brent about this.
You're in
one.
the better super secret
That one,
scout
but this
comic
one.
group.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
All
We'll
right.
definitely talk. We'll
Absolutely.
definitely talk.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks again for coming on my show. It was awesome to talk to you. Would love to have you on again anytime you need something. Brenton, if you ever want to come on and talk to Rudy, I'm down. And Brian, if you ever I don't think you need any shout outs for any new future stuff.
Always need. Yes, always.
Well, hey, I'm here for you, baby. Whatever you
I
need.
appreciate it.
This was awesome, guys. Have a wonderful
thank
night. Thank you again. And then this will be up later for any of your friends or any wives, girlfriends, other people that may want to watch it. There'll be you can hit it up on the YouTube page and rewatch it and learn and hear all your greatness that you uttered tonight, because it was good. It was a good show. It's a good
Great
show.
show.
I think we talked about some good stuff and some fun stuff, and
Agreed.
and everybody has awesome projects that we need to check out. So go spend some money on these talented people, ladies and
Absolutely.
gentlemen, and come back next Wednesday for Blake's Buzz, where we've already got guests lined up for next week, but I'll announce that on Sunday, because that's what we do. We announce guests on Sunday and go from there. Guys, thank you so much. This was so cool. Both of you are awesome. You
Thank you
deserve
very
every
much.
good thing that ever happens to you. And if anybody ever wants to talk bad about you, send them my way. I'll send them straight.
All
I used to be a bouncer. I was kind of a badass back in the day. Now
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
squishy. Now I'm desk job squishy, but I can still yell at people.
There you go.
Have a great night, guys.
All right, same to
Absolutely.
you. All right, guys.